On a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Packers stunned the Cowboys 48-32 in Dallas. Jordan Love threw for 3 scores. Aaron Jones added 3 of his own on the ground. Green Bay now travels to number 1 seed San Francisco on Saturday. For the Cowboys, Dak Prescott threw 2 more playoff interceptions, including a pick 6 to Darnell Savage. After the game, Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says he hasn't thought 1 second about head coach Mike McCarthy's future. In the nightcap, the Lions beat the Rams 24-23 for their first playoff win since the 91 season. Jared Goff threw for a score against his former team, and David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs each scored a rushing touchdown. The Lions will host the winner of Monday night's Eagles-Bucks game next Sunday. Meanwhile, for L.A., Matthew Stafford threw for 367 yards, 2 scores in his return to Motown, and Puka Nacua set a rookie playoff record with 181 receiving yards. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast. With a buck here, buck there. Here, buck, there, buck, everywhere, buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-O.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learn.
My passion for the unborn comes from my own unplanned pregnancy. Dan and I have been together for over 45 years. We have 3 of the most beautiful children. My name is Marlis Patma. I'm the former president of Iowa Right to Life, and I'm supporting Nikki Haley for president. I've heard Nikki's story. She speaks with such clarity about the importance of life because for her, it's personal.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children.
Nikki's a sister in Christ. She's pro-life. She has compassion and strength. I want a president with moral clarity who can restore our country, our pride, and our purpose. For my children and yours, please support Nikki Haley for president.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
Your Omaha Mavericks hockey team is back in action at Baxter Arena as the Mavs take on the top 10 ranked Denver Pioneers Friday and Saturday, January 19th and 20th. Get your tickets for these games and all remaining games as the Mavericks compete for the NCHC Championship. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tigs.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Got the happy hour blues? Get to Kopp's for happy hour relief with 2 happy hours from 3 to 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. till close Sunday through Friday. Kopp's serves 24-ounce domestic drafts for just $3 and 24-ounce craft drafts for only $4, plus $2 off appetizers. The restaurant that offers great pizza, burgers, and tasty charred wings now offers 2 great happy hours. Visit Kopp's today at 180th and Center, the Shadow Lake Town Center, and 72nd and Jones, or click koppspizza.com. Kopp's, pizza, and so much more.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect.
Got any more? Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
1620 The Zone.
Jenkins has the ball, slaps it, looks, bounce pass, enters it back. Here's Jenkins, pull up mid-range, it's up, it's off, no good. Ball's tipped in the air, shot is up short, no good. Game over. Jays win. Jays win. Jays win. Jays win. Jenkins got a look, but it was guarded. It came up short. The ball got tipped in the air. And time ran out. And the Creighton Blue Jays, despite not scoring a field goal in the last 4 minutes and 46 seconds, win it at the free throw line and prevail 66-65. The first time this year the Jays have won a game scoring less than 69 points.
No, I don't feel good when we lose. Hate the world. So just so you understand that. No, I don't feel good. I've never felt good with a loss. Pardon my language. So I don't feel good. I don't believe in those valiant efforts on the road. No, I feel like I want to kill myself, jump in the cold and die of frostbite. Thank you all very much. This is a great town.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
One other thing to say, the weather sucks to kick off 2024.
My hands are still freezing. I had gloves on the entire way. You
had to turn on the heater in your car?
I did.
You had
the heated steering wheel and everything, and the hands. I don't know about this whole getting older thing, and the blood circulation just takes a lot longer to warm up. But my gosh, I have become a grade A wuss here in the last 3 or 4 years when it comes to cold.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited about it, actually.
Another day of Arctic conditions, but we are hardy here in the Midwest, so we adapt to it. How many times you guys be asked this weekend, how many times you shovel? How many times did you do the driveway?
Yeah. Actually, I got to give I have no idea if they're listening right now, but I had two neighbors in particular, one across the street, one next to us, that by the time it had a little bit of that kind of blew back over in the driveway, and somebody else came out. But was just doing the entire neighborhood. It's while they're out, they just took care of it. Those are fantastic people.
That's what we do here in Omaha.
That's right.
We help each other out.
We pitch in.
Yeah, better than Lincoln, crime town. Making national news again. We'll get to that. One quick thing here. We'll get into a discussion about the Creighton St. John's game. But you heard the Patino clip that went viral. DJ's dugout probably got a lot of advertising on that.
I saw
People
that.
around the country are like, that DJ's dugout.
Yeah.
What is that?
Man.
But Patino's comments about losing, I kind of felt the same way when I see you guys every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of speaking the same language. On Saturday, just to see him in that building coaching. Man, college basketball, which is, kind of drunk this year, and there's no dominant team. And there's really the biggest character in basketball, or the most notable story, the most recognizable, is Caitlin Clark. That's just, in my opinion, that's how it is.
Yep.
But the sport needs more characters, and Rick Pitino certainly is one of those. It's just to sit there and watch him coach in person is like, wow.
You can't take your eyes off.
Rick Pitino is in the Big East. He's coaching at St. John's. That is Rick Pitino. And what they got a good team that they should not have slept since they left Omaha. They blew that game in a big way on Saturday. We will get to that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome on a Monday morning. It is MLK Day. There will be a lot of remembrances. There will be prayer. There will be service. Unfortunately, a really, really cool event in this community because of the weather. The MLK Day parade has been postponed. But here on a Monday, we have lots to talk about. I mean, what a weekend of sports beginning on Friday, Saturday, and of course, last night. How many times did you guys find yourself doing this? And I think about this a lot. I'm going to keep track of as you watch a sports weekend that included basketball, included football, included the Cubs convention, which, yes, I did.
I did see that.
I watched for a little bit. Just I streamed it. I just want to see what was going on.
You're a Cubs fan.
What are you doing is the phrase that comes out of your mouth. I thought probably 4 or 5 times this weekend. That's what I said audible. Not in my head, but like watching either on a tablet, a secondary screen, or the big TV. What are you doing?
I can at least think of that Friday night watching Nebraska, Iowa basketball. Just defensively. What are you doing? And then, sorry, Jimmy, but
Jimmy has to own this.
No,
I told everyone it was coming.
He
I
did
said
earlier.
The nuts were going to get kicked.
But
Hey,
man,
let it out because
Dak, what are you doing?
Because y'all on this radio station are in trouble. You see what I'm wearing today.
You're the only person who works here with a team still in the playoffs.
All of you jabronis that have been knocking on the Chiefs, okay? You afternoon guys, you midday guys, you two losers. I'm doing a victory lap. And I've kept my mouth quiet. We may be vulnerable more than we've ever been in my lifetime with Patrick Mahomes as my quarterback. I just want to tell you, we're playing next week. Okay, that's all I got to say. I do feel bad for you, Jimmy, as a Cowboy fan, because it's America's punchline.
By the way, I want to get a little bit of credit. About 3 weeks ago, I said, I think you guys found your guy, Rasheed Rice.
I got receipts. I got receipts.
I brought up Rasheed Rice and said, I think you finally found your guy who's
16-20 have been crushing the Chiefs. They've been crushing Taylor Swift. They've been acting like Tony Dungy, Jason Garrett, and everybody else.
No.
I hope you say something. I really don't have to say much more because I'm going to watch a football game next week that involves my team. They may not play past next weekend, but I'm still going to watch my football game.
That's not the point. You still have a team in the playoffs.
But here for
it sickens me more about the Packers.
Should sicken you as a Bears fan.
That's what I mean. It sickens me about the Packers.
NFC North had a good day.
Lions. Let's get past the cute story though. Lions are good. Like I mean, for people who, and maybe this is something that I think people who've watched them play or watched the NFL throughout the year, you don't need a reminder of that. But I think, again, when you get in the postseason, there are postseason fans too. And the first playoff win since 1991. So you're hearing all of those cool historical references last night. 2 playoff wins in 65 years. Whatever you want to throw out there. They're good. They've been good. They hit a little bit of a lull there towards the end of the season. But I remember before the season started, I said, I don't trust Jared Goff. And maybe about a month in the season, I admitted, okay, he's duplicating what he did a year ago. And last night, which, by the way, one of the best signs of the game was we went to Jared. Fantastic. And it had the Super Bowl ring. That was as good as I've ever seen him play. And where the stakes are that high, that is as good as I've ever seen him play. And you watch what they do defensively, what they do offensively, that offensive line, the running game. Amon-Ra St. Brown is awesome. Like they're a legitimate contender.
Aren't they close to matching the number of postseason victories that Minnesota has? The Minnesota Golden Gophers have in that building?
Probably. It's sad but true.
It's the best story, and that's why sports are so great. Is they show the fans and they're long suffering.
Yeah. Tears.
And a lot of people were out on Dan Campbell, and they tells you, like, look in Houston. When you hit with a head coach, a GM, and you find a quarterback that keeps your head above water, what you can do. I think Detroit's the best story of the weekend. But, man, I'm thinking of my friends that do sports talk, whether they be at the Ticket or at the Fan in Dallas or some other places. Man, you have content for months.
Yep.
For months. And also this weekend, because we got 2 more games today because of the Buffalo-Pittsburgh postponement. We get 2 NFL games today. Is the NFL basically is a TV show. That's all it is. Because even as bad as the first half looked like, and I think Musgrave is still open. I don't know.
He had a chance to stop, brush the ball off.
All I could think of is that the Cowboys are going to come back in this game because all the NFL is a TV show.
I actually kind of thought that too. I had no faith in them, but I was like, it's not going to be like this. We're going to get something nuts in the second half.
When it was okay, when I'll play along. When it was 27-7.5, I thought, okay, they've taken the ultimate haymaker. They haven't lost in that building. They have plenty of offense themselves.
We had a Cowboys coach with an epic halftime speech. Unfortunately, he was not coaching in the locker room.
I was hopeful. I was hopeful they would because I wanted to see that be a good game. And I hate the Packers. But
you got neither.
Yeah, by the third quarter. I mean, early in the third quarter, you're like, it's more the same. I mean, the score, obviously, you can get a couple garbage touchdowns there towards the end, makes it look more competitive. But yeah, I was hopeful. But Jesus. I mean, that was I've been a defender of Dak a lot too, because for a franchise that I root for that has been extremely unfortunate when it comes to quarterback play, I feel like sometimes you don't realize what you have until you just do not have a functioning quarterback whatsoever. And I feel like Dak is, but these are the types of games that Dak gets judged on. And maybe early in a career, it's not necessarily fair to look at like your first or second playoff stint, because usually you can point at things around you too, but you've been in the league long enough, you've been in the playoffs long enough to where you need to be better than that. And for Dak to have that type of performance too, that does not help the haters. That does not help the narrative about Dak in these moments either. So, I mean, that's the Dallas, and where the hell was Micah Parsons?
Oh, he's going to do a podcast today. I can't wait to listen.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, you can say the same thing about where was Myles Garrett in the Houston game too.
The Cleveland defense got exposed.
A little bit.
You can say that about Aaron Donald last night.
Yep.
Sometimes offensive linemen matter.
He had one play in the first half.
So I think Detroit's the best story of the weekend. Right next to UConn Cornelius' mustache in the game at Arrowhead on Saturday night. Because of the long-suffering fans. I mean, if you are rooting for your team and you are brought to tears, there's just something about that. And that's a great story. And plus, if you're a Lions fan, long-suffering Lions fan, and that place last night was rocking. That sounded like a college crowd at Ford Field.
Yep.
I mean, on TV, which you know that it's even louder in person. But when it's that loud on TV, you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And the fans were there early. They, of course, gave it to Stafford. I have no problem with them booing Stafford. No problem whatsoever. So, nope. Booing is part of sports. Booing is part of sports.
It is. I was surprised. It is, but I was surprised. I thought he wouldn't.
No, it's a playoff game.
Yeah, but still.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you beat us. No, booing is part of sports. That doesn't mean when the game's over, you go, man, I still hate Stafford. You know, when the game's over, you go, man, I'm glad Stafford gave us everything he had, but my quarterback is Jared Goff, and I'm here to win a playoff game. Okay? Not, hey, welcome back, Matthew. It's great to see your annoying wife on the sidelines. Your daughters are wonderful. I'm glad they were born in Detroit. But you know what? This is playoff football, and I'm not going to welcome you back. You're the enemy. But after the game, I'm going to say, man, I think Matthew Stafford one day will be in the Ring of Honor as a Detroit Lion. You can do that. Booing is part of sports. So I think the Lions are the best story. But I will tell you that the Packers, and football karma is real. You guys don't think football karma is, Well,
I believe in it. I believe
Look at for the Lions.
Look at who we root for.
So the Lions have the situation with the Cowboys near the end of the regular season. There is football karma that the Lions watch the Cowboys lose, and as a result, they're going to host 2 playoff games at Ford Field. There's also the Packers, which the Packers are a great story and a scary story for you as a Bears fan and others in the NFC because of Jordan Love. My God.
And Aaron Jones.
Let's just hope that Love is not a douche canoer like the previous 2 franchise Hall
I don't know.
of Fame
I
quarterbacks.
think Jordan Love seems like a pretty humble dude. But I think I could say that
they
maybe
said this about 15 years
I think I said about Rodgers early on.
He's a great dude. He's better than Favre.
But look at the Packers. If you are a Packer fan, and you are loving it, and you should, because Jordan Love carved up Dallas. Matt LaFleur's game plan, Jordan Love, they were in sync. It was not as close as the score maybe indicated.
Should have been 48
as a
to
Packer
nothing.
fan, Aaron Rodgers had 4 snaps this year, and you're in the divisional round.
Yeah,
that's I would say that's a pretty good year if you're a Packer fan.
And remember, a lot of the Packer fans towards the end of that marriage with Aaron Rodgers were growing tired of it too. Look at the headlines that Aaron Rodgers has been a part of here lately, as opposed to what your own team and your quarterback has been a part of. That's kind of a sweet deal. Okay, and I'm, as a Bears fan, I am obviously very mindful of what Jordan Love is looking like. Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, he's a stud. You know who I'm most concerned about as a Bears fan is Matt LaFleur. He is he not just carving up Dallas, but more times than not, he shows his mettle as an offensive game plan.
Poll question: was Aaron Rodgers holding Matt LaFleur back?
He might have been.
There is so the NFL is king. It's too big to fail. It's a TV show. Here's the other part of the Saturday games. And this involves you as a Bears fan and also all those Carolina Panther fans out there. And you watch C.J. Stroud play. What was Carolina thinking? What was Carolina thinking when they looked at C.J. Stroud and said, Bryce Young is better?
Yep.
And I'm not just saying this after the fact. I thought this in the moment of Stroud is better than Bryce Young. C.J. Stroud in training camp didn't look like a rookie. Bryce Young throughout the entire year looked like a rookie. I get it. You're paired with a head coach who DeMeco Ryans, I think, is great. I loved him with the Niners. I think he's ideal for a young team, and he came in at the right time where they were ready to wash themselves away from the Bill O'Brien and everything else that's happened after that.
Watson.
They got a fresh start. They got 2 top picks. They made smart draft picks. They got C.J. Stroud. They got a franchise quarterback. They got Will Anderson. They got a really good coach who is a young head coach, first-year head coach that mixed with his team. But all I can think of is the fact that C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, 2 first-year starters, do what they did. What was Carolina thinking about Bryce Young? And the whole thing about, well, Justin Fields doesn't have any weapons. Did you see who C.J. Stroud is throwing to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're throwing to Brevin Jordan.
Bad day for you, my man. Unfortunately.
No, it's true.
But you can make up for it in a couple of months.
And so I was listening to the Bears postseason presser where you actually got to hear from Kevin Warren as well. It was delightful. I think it maybe was the second or third question into Ryan Poles, the GM, and they asked, what prevents you from making the same mistake you did a year ago? And then the Chicago media doubled and tripled down on that. And Ryan Poles' response was what you would expect of, had we or anybody that was in a position that we would have been in. And I think he didn't call out Carolina by name, but essentially alluded to it, that if you saw the way that C.J. Stroud had performed this year and you had a pretty strong indication that that would be the case, that a lot of teams would have went that route. And I'm hoping the Bears are able to, because you're right, they have another very interesting situation that they're in where not one, but you have 2 top 10 picks in the first round and the overall number 1, and you've got a quarterback class that has to be evaluated tooth and nail, and you've got more on Justin Fields that you could feel like either you can move away from or you go all in on. I still think they move away. I think that's the way to go. But now you have another opportunity.
Wouldn't it be wild? They kept their head coach but moved on their quarterback.
Yeah.
See, I think.
And now remember, though, they're also they're having to replace an offensive coordinator, too.
I think in Dallas's situation, you move on from your head coach. I would be, Dak, January or not, I would be very afraid to move on from Dak.
Yes, because who do you have coming in?
That's true.
And also, I would like to see the coach relieved of his duties before we're off the air today.
Well, I tweeted this out last night that Green Bay will be responsible for firing Mike McCarthy twice now. Once when they were with him, and once when he wasn't even part of their organization.
See, I think Miami has Mike McDaniel's not in trouble there.
No,
but
it's just frostbitten.
But you get to the last year of a contract. Mike McCarthy's going into his last year.
Mm-hmm.
Dak after next year, his future could be up in the air. Tua's going into his last year of his contract. I mean, it reiterates why that position is the most important position.
Yep.
It showed up so big this weekend.
By the way, I think catcher is second. I've made that decision. All right, continue on.
Sorry, you got me thinking of warmer weather. Good job.
I think, honestly, this weekend was a perfect example of that, though, for teams like Chicago that have an opportunity to better their situation at quarterback, and you now have proof of teams that probably misevaluated in a certain situation. I mean, the Bears are a perfect example of that in 2017 of misevaluating the quarterback situation too. So, and you could even say they did it last year by not cashing in on the first round, trading it to Carolina where they could have got CJ Stroud. But I hope what happened this year, that whole process and how they evaluated, I really do hope that is a great lesson on how they go about it this year.
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't think there's another position in all of sports where if you hit it right, you can immediately dream big.
No, there's not. There's absolutely not.
My team hit big. They paired it with a head coach, and I can dream big every single postseason. Experience matters, but having a combo of Reed and Mahomes, look at right down the street. Nebraska may have found their quarterback. So what immediately do you think? You can dream big.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other position in sports. You could say, well, a starting pitcher, but he's only going every fifth day.
Yeah, you're not getting him every day.
Yeah. A quarterback is the one that is the only player in sports where if you hit it, you can dream big. And so all of a sudden, Houston can dream big.
Yep.
Green Bay can dream big with young quarterbacks. And then teams that already have the established superstar quarterback that win games that matter in this month and next month, you're always dreaming big. It changes your whole mood. It gives you hope every single day. I get it. The Chiefs are very vulnerable. They are not like they have been in the past Super Bowl runs because their identity has changed. They're built on defense. But the core four that they had on Saturday night that they used, it gives you hope that maybe this could happen. Just give me a glimmer of hope. I don't sit here and go, man, if they have to go to Buffalo, they're done.
Yeah, and that's the thing about for what you're bringing up about the idea of hope. It can be every season is not going to be, the same as it was as far as how you do get to the postseason. And we know that the Chiefs, like some other teams, kind of got in there, maybe not necessarily feeling the best about the type of football that they were playing. But as we've seen, especially in the NFL, it is a complete different animal. When you have the experience, when you know what to expect, how things sort of get ramped up. I mean, and even when you kind of know how the game is going to be called, how it's going to be officiated, all of those little things, all of those things for...
They have officiating in the NFL?
Yeah. I really feel like there's a lot of PIs collectively throughout the playoffs this week. It was one of those things like, if it's obvious, we'll call it, but...
Obvious? Nah. Did you watch the Detroit Rams game?
Yeah.
Obvious PI not called.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think they were calling PIs around the table unless it was blatantly obvious. And even then, it's like, eh. But back to the point about the quarterback, like Mahomes, great example. The dude he didn't have the type of season that he's had the last few years. Look who he's throwing to. But you get into those situations, whether it's at home or on the road, you know what to kind of expect out of those guys from big games. I mean, this is the same thing with Dak. Like, I think a lot of Cowboys fans were wanting to believe that he could kind of turn that quarter, eventually be there. But sometimes you just kind of are who you are in the playoffs too. And I don't think anybody was shocked. And even with the weather, like let's say it was like a 35, 40 degree weather night in Kansas City. Would anybody have still thought, Kansas City, I don't know if I like that? No, because there's something about 15 being in a playoff game. That is...
Or Tua playing in cold weather, which he can't. He just can't.
Nope. But still, that part of it is so here's like, I'm thinking of Houston right now. Think about how excited people have to be, no matter how far this thing goes, because not only do you have your quarterback, but you've got him under team control in a rookie contract. You can continue to build around him right now. Now, that's different for Green Bay because obviously they got to pay Jordan Love next year. But you look at not only if you hit it big, make that decision, but that guy becomes immediate starter and you're in the playoffs that first year when you have him and you've got him on the cheap for the next 3 years. I mean, think about what you can do to that roster around him because you're right. Look at who he's throwing to. Look at what you could continue to build around him and solidify that defense in a division It's a pretty crappy division, too.
Yep. All of a sudden, the Texans are scary good.
Yeah. And it starts with who they have at quarterback.
Well, I think it all starts with the head coaching matters.
That's true.
I mean, winning matters. I think listen to the whole discourse on Kellen DeBoer this weekend after he got hired at Alabama. Winning games that matter should be on your ledger. People can have gaudy records, and you can go, well, was that really, what did you do to get those 10 wins?
Yeah.
Winning important games matter. And once you start winning important games, if you're a rookie quarterback, you go, man, is there the possibility here we could be scary good? All right, 2 NFL games today. You had the Buffalo-Pittsburgh game that they are still shoveling out the stadium.
Those are some wild scenes.
Tables have
yesterday.
already been broken as we speak.
I kind of wish that game got played, but man, there were some wild scenes from the weather there.
Wasn't it? Didn't that seem low that they're only paying like $20-$25 to shovel out the
Yeah,
stadium?
they're doing that in Kansas City too.
Man, I think
Why
I
don't you
would
just give 'em a
demand
ticket?
more. What are they? So in Buffalo, you had to bring your own shovel because
They have 'em.
if you've ever been to Orchard Park, Buffalo's really, really odd. Like the lake effect snow,
Mhm.
where Orchard Park is located, it always gets hammered. But if you were a little bit north, like out by the airport, you were getting snow, but you weren't getting the lake effect snow. It's really weird in Buffalo the way it's set up. But where Orchard Park is, they're always going to get hammered. But Orchard Park, to me, is one of the weirdest stadiums because it's one of the rare NFL stadiums that's in a neighborhood. Like
Mhm.
Lambeau Field is in a neighborhood. Orchard Park is actually in a neighborhood. It's kind of odd. But the only people that could get to the stadium, because they had the travel ban and you couldn't drive on the streets, you had to walk to the stadium.
Yeah.
So it was just people in the neighborhood that were like, hey, I'll come help out the Bills.
Yeah, I don't want to be at home anyway.
But shouldn't they be getting more than 20 to 25 an hour
Yeah.
and like a free meal ticket?
Yeah, they should be getting a ticket to the game.
Yeah.
Can you tell me that game is going to be sold out? Well, maybe now it will be. But like in Kansas City, they're getting 20 an hour as well. You tell me you could not have given them a ticket to that game?
Give him pictures
I mean,
of
come
Bruce
on.
Smith. They could sit on his lap.
Like, hey, just sit up there. No one's going up there.
Hey, is that the true height of fandom? When you
you show
will
up?
go to shovel out the stadium for your fans?
They asked people to do that for Nebraska baseball one time. People
Oh,
came
really?
up. Yep, this was a while back. This was when Darren was there. But I remember that they asked, hey, if anybody wants to come out and help shovel out, because I think they'd already lost like a couple of series to the weather, and they were like, we can't do this again. People showed up. Now, I don't remember what they gave them. I'm assuming it's
pictures with Low Red.
probably. But they probably gave him a game ticket, I would assume. But yeah, so and a lot of people showed up.
It's still going to be miserable this afternoon for that game.
Yeah.
That is going to be awful between Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
Balmy 18.
And then we get Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. So we get a double dip of football. It's all about the TV show.
It might be bad tonight.
Why?
I don't think it. I'm going to say I don't think it'll be good football tonight.
Oh.
I don't trust Tampa Bay in the way the Eagles are playing. My God, like any sign of like adversity in this game with Philly early on is going to be very interesting to see how they respond, because that is a team that just doesn't strike me as a team that's coming with a lot of confidence right now.
Baker Mayfield going to play. He's listed as questionable.
Should play from what I heard yesterday. It was almost like when Stafford went down. You're like, whoa. You're like, but is he really going to miss any more of this game now?
I hope, because the NFL is a TV show, that Tampa Bay does not win, because I want Matt Patricia back in Detroit next weekend.
Okay. I get behind that.
Hey, America.
Go ahead and boo him.
We are a Buffalo win today away from next weekend, Detroit and Buffalo hosting playoff games.
Yep. The way it should
1992.
be. 1992. I know.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Off and running on a Monday. We have lots to talk about. Of course, the NFL, the way it was presented on Peacock. I would like to do this. I'd like to go the reverse octogenarian, because people are making fun of, your parents or your grandparents couldn't watch the game on Peacock because they didn't know how to get it. I want to hear from our older silver sluggers that had no problem with technology. We need to give them a shout out.
And there's plenty of them.
Because they're taking a beating.
Yeah, there's plenty of them, too.
Yeah. Hey, even my dad, he's figured out how to text.
Yeah.
He's figured out how to watch like some Netflix.
Does he do emojis?
No, he does
Okay.
screenshots.
Oh,
Like he'll
okay. All right.
screenshot stuff and
That's
send
something.
it to me.
That's something.
Yeah, it's progress. All right. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here as well. Coming up a little bit later, Jacob Bigelow stops by. Nebraska loses. Creighton wins. Omaha wins. And we get a double dip of hoops on Wednesday night, starting at the same time. So it'll be a double screen as both teams are on the road. Creighton could be at number 1 UConn. When the polls come out today, UConn, which is really the only team that survived in the top 10 this past week, could be number 1, and that is coming up for Creighton on Wednesday. And then Nebraska's on the road out on the East Coast. They're in New Jersey to take on Rutgers, who got blitzed by Michigan State yesterday. But we'll focus on the Nebraska game that didn't go so well in Iowa City. That was a bad about 4-hour stretch for Iowa-Nebraska relations.
Yeah, between wrestling and basketball.
And because of that, I'm not going to participate in your caucuses tonight as an Iowa native.
You're not going to caucus?
No.
Okay.
Jacob stops by at 9. Amy just at 9:30. The lineup brought to you by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Higgy's name came up this weekend. Somebody goes, "Hey, do you think he misses it?" I miss him. Someone told me, a coach told me, he goes, I miss seeing him out on the floor. I go, I can tell you, he doesn't miss it. He loves this in retirement.
Yeah.
The way to get into the show, if you are a Cowboy fan like Jimmy and anybody else that had a bad weekend
or a good weekend,
or if
we
you
can
were
celebrate.
like Jason Garrett or Tony Dungy and had a really bad weekend, you can get in touch with the show 951-1620. That's the 42 Degree Source hotline. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, where many of you already have. This is going to be a spicy show today. Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley, 1620thezone.com.
Or on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley, 1620.
Off and running. Jimmy will keep you updated if Mike McCarthy is out.
Just waiting.
Doesn't Jerry usually take his time with these things, though? He's not really like quick to do it within 24 hours.
Hell, I had a decision by 7:30 last night. What the hell's taking him so long? In fact, 7:30, I think it was before the Lions game kicked off. Basically,
we're
said,
gonna
this
get
guy.
like at halftime of that game, we were going to get an update that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys have moved on for Mike McCarthy.
A lot of F words yesterday.
God, his play calling is so bad and predictable.
Mhm.
Just so bad.
Especially when you're going up against, again, LaFleur. I give him a lot of credit there, too. It's really amped up.
Or going up against the fact that your scripted plays are so bad.
Yeah.
But they were listless. They looked like they were tighter than you know what.
Yep.
Do you think, I don't know, this is kind of a loaded question because this is obvious. Do you think Jerry Jones would make a deal with the devil
Yep.
to win a Super Bowl?
Yep.
So he's what, 81?
Yeah. He's going to die soon.
I don't know about Belichick.
He's got another
Why
40
would
years.
Belichick want that circus?
No, he wouldn't.
That is not a football
I don't see how those
organization. That is a circus.
Yes, I don't see how those two could coexist because Bill Belichick, at the very least, maybe wants to give maybe he would give the autonomy of the entire roster and decisions there, but he is sure as hell not going to be having a press conference and having the president, GM, doing a press conference of the press conference too. That would never work. Those two would never work.
The hope for this happening is Jerry has a similar epiphany that gave us a few years of him not meddling, and that was when he decided, you know what, I'm going to sign Bill Parcells.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna give him the authority and let him do the thing because I want to win. The reality is they wanted a new stadium and they got that, but a little bit better football.
That
And
kept
Bill
him
was
busy.
doing commercials. But if he wants to try and get a Super Bowl before he dies, which Cowboys fans aren't that lucky, so he's got at least 30 years left, then you make the deal with the devil and you say, hey, you want to win a Super Bowl without your guy? I want to win a Super Bowl without my guy. What do you need? How much? What do you need? Let's make it happen.
Hey, I don't know if this is a true stat or not, but since 2015, the Texans have won 3 playoff games and the Cowboys have won 2.
Yep.
Is that a true stat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody just tell Jerry that.
Is this also a true stat that Green Bay has won as many playoff games in AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys?
They've won more, according to Joey.
Okay.
That is also
Somebody
true.
tell Jerry that.
I don't know if this is true or not, but has it been 29 years since the Cowboys have been in the NFC Championship?
29 years to the day yesterday.
also
No,
true.
28 years to the day yesterday.
You're such a Richard.
I don't know if this is true or not, but the Cowboys have been 5-13 in the playoffs since the Super Bowl in '95.
Wait, that good? How the hell they win 5 games?
Yeah. How the hell did we ever win 5? It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Would you rather die of frostbite than lose or make a deal with the devil to get a Super Bowl?
No, deal with that one.
Yeah, frostbite. That was rough. It's rough.
That'd be a
weekend.
tough way to go. Yeah. Give me my Super Bowl. I'll deal with the consequences later.
Yeah. We're all going to be dead in 100 years anyway.
Well, that'd be old.
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
like 100 years? I mean, like the entire
100 years from now?
civilization?
No, 100 years from now.
So you're saying everyone will be extinct?
Well, us on this show.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'll take living for another 100 years.
If I live to 145, I don't know how
it could be done.
Lucid I'd be.
Would you still be on Twitter?
Yeah.
Would you be texting? Would you be still streaming Peacock?
Yeah, I would probably be forgetful of my passwords. That's about it. I'd have to write those down.
What's password's literally Nick.
Okay.
It's 1, 2, 3.
As the resident Cowboy fan.
Did I get the dump button ready?
No, what's your gut say happens today?
He gets fired. Because of some of the things he said last night and the way he looked. And somebody on the Twitter, because after a couple hours of just being angry at the world, and it wasn't because they lost, it was the matter.
That was my question.
This for weeks.
Is it the context in this loss that is
I've been saying this for weeks. The nuts are ready. Here comes the foot. It's just a matter of which week in January it happens, and it just happened right away. So there are so many scenarios that could have happened. Everything would have just been status quo, business as usual. If they lose a tough game yesterday, it's tough, but he was going to run it back with what they have.
That's what I.
But this scenario can make 81-year-old people just knee jerk and just go Yosemite Sam.
Okay, so what's
I once worked for a guy like that.
Yosemite Sam on it. That's what Jerry Jones is going to do today.
By the way, this show will be the only show on this radio station that has had Yukon Cornelius and Yosemite Sam mentioned in the first segment. Okay, I thank you for playing along because I don't mean to troll.
I don't even take it as trolling. You're spewing facts.
I am calling into the afternoon show. Those two jabronis were crushing the Chiefs. And
both their teams lost.
Yeah. Actually, all three of their teams lost.
I kind of forgot about Bishop and the Rams too for a moment.
What is the standard in Dallas?
Depends on the age of the person you're asking. It should be Super Bowls, but let's be honest. If you're younger than a certain age, you don't know of such a thing.
It's like
You've
kind of in a
seen
way.
it on NFL
in a way,
films,
it's like
but-
Nebraska football fans right now.
Yeah.
As far as the age.
When was the last time they won a Super Bowl?
Yeah. When's the last time you won a conference championship game? All those types of
28 years ago yesterday against the Packers. Wow. The first of 9 NFC title game appearances by the Packers since.
Yeah. Which is what the most consecutive playoff appearances without a conference championship appearance is 19 now? Is that what it was?
Lions, Washington, Cowboys. That's the futility.
Yeah. Well, what was that? That number was thrown out last night.
A lot of numbers thrown out last night.
As far as the Cowboys, the amount of consecutive playoff appearances without making the NFC Championship, which is like a professional sports record right now.
Yeah.
Which is good. You're making the playoffs. Just not really.
They're just good enough.
You're not going far in the
they're
playoffs.
Not.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if the Bears were part of that because at least I'll say this for this weekend.
You say that now.
I don't know. It sucks to be in a divisional round for 6 straight.
Yeah,
years.
I know, right? Because you guys, you could, Jimmy. I feel for you. I really do.
I have checked into the jerk store, Ted.
But guys, come on. You know how much even to have the agony. I got to go back to 2018 and then 2010 because I don't count the COVID year where they played the Saints in the Nickelodeon game. Because they didn't deserve to be in there.
Oh yeah,
but
we cleaned the garage that day.
To be able to, I think most people did. To be able to even have the agony, but at least in a postseason manner. I was telling Jenny that over the weekend too. Like we're watching some playoff games. Like, gosh, I really hope the Bears are in it. Just like next year, just to watch them in a postseason game. Like 2018 feels like forever ago, and of course that ended with a freaking double doink. So yeah, you guys can take your victory lap. You can take your sorrow. But just remember, there's a lot of franchises out there, like the one I root for. They don't know what the playoff is on the reg. So I get it, Dallas Cowboy fans, you're suffering because you haven't made a conference championship game in however long.
I'm sure there's a 2-word answer most Cowboy fans would give you throughout that rant.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but sometimes you just got to accept what you have and be happy with that. And right now, I got to accept that we have a mediocre franchise that is still trying to figure out the quarterback position for the last century.
But you're a conference cheering guy. You should have been like NFC North.
Not for the Packers, but I actually was. I was
more.
rooting for the Lions. I was 100. Well, that because David Montgomery. They got David Montgomery and Kendall Vildor, former Bears. So yeah, I was rooting for the Lions.
How about Stroud, Love have as many playoff wins as Kirk Cousins?
There's another NFC North headline right there.
Lots to discuss. Plus, Peacock was on display on Saturday night.
Worked for us.
Yeah.
We couldn't say no.
I think the NFL did something last night that we need to be very, very afraid of. That they did about that game. All right, we'll get into that and much more. Going to be a busy morning. We have lots of football to talk about. It is also Blue Monday. Not because you're a Cowboy fan.
Or because it's cold and it's blue.
No, because it's the third Monday. They say this is the most depressing day of the year.
Oh, well.
The third Monday.
-10 will help that.
Losing playoff games will help that.
Yeah.
Just let it out, boys.
You know what? Because I'm going to
break.
ending this segment positivity.
After the break. After the break. I'll let you just go. Just let it rip. All right? Because I'm here for you.
Thanks there, Chiefs sweatshirt guy. Just smirking away. Smirking away.
Hey.
See, by the way I say he should. Like, I'm just.
So we have a celebrity fan that likes going to football games and has fun.
I was hoping you had the 87 puffy coat that you got from Kristen Jusick.
No.
That.
Nope.
Players' wives helping players' wives because Taylor Swift will eventually be a player wife.
The Twilight dude had a Hutchinson one yesterday.
Hey, not everything is great. I'm still wondering, what in the hell was McCole Hardman doing on that long pass from Mahomes? He was like, okay. And he just falls. What?
Gary, the ground was hard.
Oh.
Really hard.
As a great football coach once told me, defenses win championships. I can't remember that coach's name.
Offense wins games, defense wins championships. Yeah.
2 NFL games today and a plethora of basketball, college, and NBA on this Monday, MLK Day, on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Get pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
The world's on fire. Attacks in the Middle East. Ukraine and Russia at war. And right here, Joe Biden has created a dangerous threat to every American. Biden's open border policies have opened the floodgates to a record number streaming in, 12,000 in one day alone. This means increased terrorist threats and even more deadly fentanyl being delivered to our neighborhoods. President Trump will change that. He'll secure our borders by building even more wall. He'll end visitors from terrorist countries being allowed to enter. And Trump will treat the drug cartels the same as he treated terrorists who kill Americans. President Trump, the strength to protect our borders and our families.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President 2024, Inc.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Beatles come to life in Revolution, the music of the Beatles, a symphonic experience featuring the Omaha Symphony. January 20th and 21st at the Holland Center. Accompanied by hundreds of rare and unseen photos with stunning video and animation, Revolution takes audiences on a magical musical and visual journey with top performers and vocalists and the music you know and love. Tickets start at $20. Visit omahasymphony.org to get your tickets today before Revolution, the music of the Beatles, a symphonic experience, sells out.
The back seat. Check the back seat. All right, come here. Check the back seat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the back seat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Downhill, scoop layup, tough finish, no good. Rebound Ashworth. Jay's trying to run. Miller quickly into the front court. Miller stops, pops, short. Rebound though, Trey. Trey underneath the basket. Trey slipping, and he goes out of bounds. And that should have been a foul. And now Soriano flopping on the floor like a dead fish. Drops one down low. Here's Trey. Trey goes in. Oh, come on! He got ran into! Stop it! Now a three the other way. In and out, no good. Rebound pulled down and a reach-in foul against St. John's. But my goodness, Trey Alexander is getting treated like Marcus Foster. He has to basically get decapitated before he's ever going to get a call underneath the basket. That's embarrassing. They just need to find some offense here. Well, come on, Luis. Come on, finally. Jiminy Christmas, he was basically punching him in the gut at midcourt. Then they finally call the foul, but holy cow, did Luis get away with a shot to the sternum before then they call the reach-in foul.
I love him.
I'm never going to bring up to John. Do you think Farabello should have been called for a foul at the end of the game?
That is a great treasure right there. Whoa.
I think I know how that conversation would go if I bring that up to JB.
So part of John's angst.
It was a very physical game.
I can't.
Foul should have been called.
It's tough. Well, they let him play.
Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm.
So there was one of the three officials is really, really bad. Like really, really bad.
We had James Breeding, Nathan Farrell, and Brent Hampton.
The last one,
Brent Hampton.
It's tough to watch Big East basketball because
better off with Mike Hampton.
I say the last before Saturday, the last Creighton game I'd seen in person was the Alabama game. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was free flowing. Guys got up and down the floor. It was fun basketball to watch.
Yeah.
It's tough to watch Big East basketball. I mean, it's one of the premier conferences in America, but it is nothing but a just clutch and grab and a free throw shooting contest.
Yeah.
It's really tough to watch. And they're for the most part, they established that we're going to let them play, and they did that on Saturday. Now, at the end, what was the third guy's name?
Brent Hampton.
Sometimes it's all about which official is in the rotation on what part of the floor they're on.
Yeah. Where did it happen? If it's in their purview, yep.
Behind the play, when Farabello bumps,
Mm-hmm.
I bet they call that a foul. Just because of
because you see that, yeah. Because you see.
Well, in the way that the game unfolded, they're not going to call that.
Right. It shouldn't have been called.
But sometimes when you have a not so good official that all of a sudden sees that from an odd angle, the hand goes in the air and the place would have come unglued and Bishop probably would have thrown the headset down.
Oh, yeah.
Got up and walked out onto the floor.
And
where was this in the Elite Eight?
Regardless of how the game was called, Farabello, you knew what he was doing. And the fact that he didn't extend his hands or grab or anything, that he just kind of used his body. He didn't even like take a step. He just kind of like leaned his body to where there was a little bit of drawing the contact, but initiating the contact. That if that happens in that moment, God, I would hope college basketball refs that do high major games would not call that. I mean, there was contact for sure, but I think Farabello did everything you could to maybe have a little contact, but to not make it obvious. Because again, his hands were where they needed to be. And the game, the fact that, I mean, you heard it right there, John's frustration with, it's just a physical game. It's like we talked about. Yeah. Like Jimmy, you bring up in the San Diego State game, like at some point, is it a foul or not, regardless of like how the game is being played?
Yeah, I think there's exact rules and then there's the spirit of the game.
Yes. And I think that was the spirit of the game. No,
but Big East basketball is tough to watch. It's free throws. It's clutch and grab. It's guys flopping. Whatever happened to calling guys for flopping in college basketball?
Oh yeah, that was a thing at one point.
I've seen it called.
People forget.
I've seen it called once. We played at Texas Tech earlier in the year, which, Texas Tech and TCU, that's going to help Omaha's NCAA resume to avoid being a 16 seed.
I love it. I love
it. That's the only time I've seen it called, but I've seen. No, Tony Osborne got called for Omaha not too long ago. But I've only seen it called twice. Last year, I bet I saw it called twice in the first week of the season. But you just you don't see flopping called.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be a point of emphasis last year. And I think there's other things that have gone, like the moving screen on the ball handoff on offense.
Yep.
They're
That gets called all the time. The lack of charges, though, now all of a sudden.
Yeah, bring out the bingo card and the ball handoff for where the guy that hands the ball off keeps moving and they call a charge. You're going to get that once or twice a game. But I think in the case on Saturday at the end of the game,
it's a good point.
Creighton benefited from a bad official not being the guy behind the play.
Could be.
Because I think he makes that call. He makes that call, and then Mac's press conference is probably different than Patino's press conference.
A little bit.
Who good on him. He wasn't going to blame the officials. He should. St. John's blew that game. St. John's choked in that game.
Oh, yeah.
You can say Creighton came back, but they choked in that game. St. John's was up 9. They were on the road, and
9 with 6 to go, and Creighton couldn't shoot. Creighton couldn't score at all.
Well, yeah, Creighton finished the game on a 19-9 run, and it was
They had like one field goal.
Was it 11 free throws?
Yeah.
And it was 8 points from a dunk or a layup?
Yeah.
Yeah. St. John's, you got to own that one. You choked that game away.
Yeah. If you got a 9-point lead on the road, you give that lead up because all of a sudden Creighton just can't miss beyond the arc. All right. You live with that. But yeah, the fact that they were still in a field goal drought, that they were getting to the free throw line, that was it. And then all of a sudden, St. John's offense ceased to exist. There's no question. Now, I'd ask this about the charging, or I'm sorry, not the charging, the flopping, because you have a little more insight on how sometimes these conversations go with coaches and with officials being so close there. Do you think sometimes it's the only time it's actually ever called anymore is if somebody has a reputation?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's the only time you're seeing, like, hey, we know this guy tends to do this, so you're going to watch him. If he does it once, you might even let him get away with it. But if he does it a second time, then he's going to get called. But if you don't have a reputation, chances are they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You're not going to get called for it.
Frank writes in the Equitable Bank inbox. Jimmy, this is Cowboy related.
Yes, he should be fired. Have a great day.
Last 3 times the Cowboys won the Super Bowl, Nebraska won the championship the next year. 93, 94, 96, 94, 95, 97. Thank you, Frank. Makes a good point.
Unfinished business.
People have blamed Pepsi. They have blamed other things. Now it's to blame the Dallas Cowboys for being inept. They have affected Nebraska.
They're linked, one and the same, the Cowboys and Nebraska. That's a good thing, though, if it works out. They both win.
Hey, Jay Novacek, John Dutton, Danny Noonan. All because of you, Nebraska football can't survive and win championships.
It's a lot.
We got an update with Jimmy coming up.
He hasn't been fired yet. I'll be here.
Is that going to be in the update too?
We'll check during the break. I'm refreshing Twitter.
So
Jerry's sleeping. What are you talking about?
So
7.
It's tough to ignore the 1-game debacle. What if they decided to run it back?
Then I'll be saying the same thing a year from now. Well, kicking the nuts is coming. It's just a matter of which weekend in January. They'll be 12-5 next year.
That's a good question, though,
good
because as far as the pulse of the Cowboy fan right now, we get it from you more than anybody else because we see every day. But as far as the fans close to it, would it be just more of the same type of angst? I feel like it would be. I feel like it would
apathy.
be. Okay, that's fair. Because I would think it'd be like ramped up even bigger if they run it back. Compare to how you
for
feel
business
yesterday.
at the ticket.
Yeah, but will it be good for tickets?
Oh, they'll still sell out because the other team's fans will always bring their fans.
Well, that is true as well. I just feel like if you run it back, then all of a sudden you got bigger Dallas Cowboy rage than you currently have today. After
they will be
a really
12-5
bad
next
playoff
year,
loss.
and they will lose the first playoff game. Or they'll you know what, they'll surprise us
Jerry
and win
said,
one.
Jerry said you and all like you that root for the Cowboys, you guys deserve better. So what's Jerry going to do to address that?
I'd like to know.
You deserve
the
better.
Last time they won
Jimmy.
a Super Bowl,
that
I was in the 7th
that came
grade.
straight from Jerry Jones, man. You deserve better.
I don't know. He looks shell-shocked yesterday.
Yeah.
I was shell-shocked. I did not expect that performance.
There was a lot of people suggesting this on X during the game yesterday, and I wholeheartedly agreed. At some point in the second half, you just need to have a split screen on the game and Jerry in the booth.
Joey told me Saturday, says, good luck tomorrow. we're going to need it. You guys will probably score 50. Well, somebody almost did score 50, Joey, who he came in to say good morning when I got here.
Yeah,
Very kindly.
Joey, he's so nice, but
not to overlook Packers, man. That was an ass kicking.
It was.
They punched,
and
LaFleur and Love were dealing, and that defense was pretty good.
They were
until
they got a good defense.
Crazy but there's also I'll ask you a little bit later who's to blame because Dan Quinn is in this conversation as well.
Has to be.
Update with Jimmy coming up. We got more. We'll talk some hoops. Also, this is an intriguing week for Nebraska football. Explain why. And yesterday, also in the college football hiring cycle, reiterated that there is just 2 conferences that are playing college football. The rest of y'all, you're feeders for us. We live in the Big Ten. Our friends down south, just keep feeding us players and coaches. It's all that matters in college football. It's the Big 2, and then
Big 12.
The rest of you folk. All right, 7:03. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dreamtime Saving Traffic Center, we got a couple crashes in Sarpy County. One on over northbound JFK at Chandler Road, blocking the left lane and causing stop-and-go traffic from Childs to Q. The other crash is on Cornhusker Road, east of South 36. And on 56 and Center, there is a property damage crash where the car is in the snowbank. This is a reminder that there are still some slick spots on the road in the Omaha metro area, so be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Radon Defense Midwest.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your #1 investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, J-Tech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. J-Tech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
1620 The Zone is on location Friday, January 26th at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pink Out Game, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers. You can find details on 1620thezone.com and at cancer.org/pinkout.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Creighton basketball is on 1620 The Zone, KOCN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs, and on 1019 The Keg, KOOO, La Vista, Omaha. Brought to you by Tickets for Less. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Lord, that's loud. Apparently, my headphones were set on deaf. All right. Nebraska women's basketball falls in a tough one at the barn. They lose 62-58 at Minnesota yesterday, despite 17 points and 14 rebounds from Alexis Markowski. They host Michigan Wednesday night at 7. Emma Ronsick and Lauren Jensen combined for 42 points in the final three quarters as the Creighton women beat Providence 81-70 yesterday at Sokol. They'll be on the road at Villanova Sunday morning at 11. Omaha men's basketball now in first place in the Summit League. Yes, they come back to beat North Dakota State 96-92 in overtime. That was the game of the night Saturday. Have your peacock. That was a good game. It's a big win for them.
Hey, what I had?
How about Frankie? 34 points, 12 rebounds.
Yeah. It didn't seem like he had 34. If that makes sense.
He made it look easy.
That's when you know you're good. Yeah. When you have the workmanlike or the nonchalant 30 burger.
It's early, but they're, man, in about a 2-week span, they are such a different basketball team.
It's fun. Has to be fun. I thought of you Saturday
Hey, Summit League basketball, which is all offense, 96-92 overtime.
Yeah.
That's the good old days of Summit League basketball.
Oh, yeah. That was back when I was doing PA. I loved it. Like every game was in the 80s. Hell, I wasn't even going to overtime games were in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
It's the opposite of the basketball you just talked about in the last segment. Yeah.
Well, it definitely is.
But
good for Creighton to win a game like that.
How about Creighton just a win, period?
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks
that
like.
too.
That's a narrative that they keep bringing back up. Where's that originate? I'd like to find that out.
The winning ugly game or winning the ugly game?
Yeah.
Winning the mud fight game? Yeah.
Hey, people just arrived to watch Creighton play. I mean, they have been pretty good defensively.
Yeah.
Okay. Quit inventing those narratives.
That's why we get excited when we see a game like the Alabama game. The Mavs are 3-1 in the league, play 10-9 overall. The 10 wins, the most they've had in a season since winning 16 in the 1920 season. Bison are now 8-10, 1-2 in the league. The Mavs will be in Brookings Thursday to take on South Dakota State. Dress warm. Omaha hockey splits at North Dakota. Speaking of dressing warm, they win Friday, lose Saturday. They host Denver this weekend. In the NFL, Mike McCarthy hasn't been fired yet by the Dallas Cowboys. Jed Fish is the next football coach at the University of Washington. As athletic director Troy Dannon engaged Fish in a second interview this weekend and narrowed down to him, and then went to his house in Tucson to get the contract signed. He had a very quick meeting with his Arizona team. He basically said, I'm leaving for Washington, and then left the room. Kalen DeBoer had a little more emotional meeting with his team when he told him he was leaving for Alabama. He was introduced yesterday. Former Alabama employee Nick was sitting in the front row, enjoying
Alabama
a press conference.
Employee Saban, who will have a
enjoying
open door.
an oatmeal cream pie and
Going to be
See, you say that, but you know that Saban will not hang around.
he won't.
no. He bought a house in Miami for a
No,
reason.
what are you going to say? Like, and by the way, Nick Saban will have limited access here. Kayla DeBoer knows that too. Knows that Nick Saban's like, nope. And good for Nick Saban. He's not going to want to be the guy that's looking over the shoulder of his replacement. Like, that's not Nick Saban. So, yeah, he won't be there.
J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum are entering the draft. No surprise there. The Chargers are going to meet with Jim Harbaugh. Hey, how about Harbaugh to the Cowboys? Egos. Big egos.
Man, I think about the way things ended in San Francisco. Jim is not always the easiest person to work with, but I also feel like San Francisco front office wise did not operate under a good business model of being able to, just because maybe you don't get along every day, to let the business work and be successful. And at the end of the day, you had the same interest in mind, and that's winning. There was a relationship there that I think probably got too personal. So thinking that could actually work in Dallas, again, kind of like the Bill Belichick, that would be a horrible fit. I don't know if Jim Harbaugh would be a good fit in Dallas. Just
I don't know
call
why
me crazy.
Like, everybody's talking about Belichick, and I know that there's a past history of getting to know the Joneses, and he's the name out there. Do you really think Bill Belichick wants any part of that?
No.
It's an absolute
No.
circus. Look
Absolutely
at the post-game scrum around Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
it's not
that
football.
picture.
It's not football. It is the NFL TV show in Dallas.
Mhm.
Do you think any good football person, I'll throw out the caveat, if you win a Super Bowl with Dallas, you are set for life,
Yeah.
and they'll love you a long time. But if you're a football guy, there's not enough football there. It's everything but football,
Mhm.
it seems, in Dallas. And a guy that has been a lifelong football guy, I don't know. That would be a weird fit. It makes sense because it's Belichick and it's Dallas and it's two major brands.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's also the part of how many older coaches outside of Bill Snyder have changed jobs. And Snyder left, then came back, and K-State was in a good spot second time around. How many coaches have, at the age that they are, have left and gone to another job and been successful?
Very few,
Yeah, I can't think of
if
any.
any.
The part about Bill Belichick in Dallas or any coach like Bill Belichick, because I'm 100% there with you when it comes to that job and how appealing it would be to certain coaches. I think for younger coaches that are a little bit more adapted to where the game is and how there's a lot of different angles from what you have to be as the head coach and how you not only manage your roster, but you sort of manage your role in the franchise, so to speak, where you have media obligations and you're going to get some questions that are going to be ownership related as well. I think those are the coaches that probably could adapt to that situation in Dallas. But guys like Bill Belichick, how, and I say obligation, he knows he's obligated to give, a presser here and there, throughout the week. But then to the types of questions that he has to answer, then to also have to answer questions about the press conference that the owner had week in and week out as well. That's just an example of the many distractions that I don't think Bill Belichick would ever want anything to do with.
Let's be honest. I just want the gong show, but in reality, he's just going to hire Dave Campo 2.0. That's what's going to happen.
Wow. That is off the top rope. I did not expect a Dave
yeah.
Campo reference
Oh,
today.
yeah.
Good on you. Congratulations.
You're a true fan.
You get a star for the day, Jimmy.
You're a true fan.
So college football over the weekend was kind of interesting.
That it was.
Kellen DeBoer getting hired at Alabama. Here's what college football needs. More Kellen DeBoers, more Lance Leipold's, more Willie Fritz's, guys that have started in spots that you don't want to start in, and they work their way around the bases. They don't wake up and they're on third base.
Mm-hmm.
They go to different places and they learn as they go.
They grind.
I mean, being at an NAIA school, a Division II school where you have to do a lot, like maybe you have to make the hotel reservations. Maybe you have to set up the travel. All of these little things that you accumulate along your journey to get to a point where you're the head football coach at KU, or you're the head football coach at Washington, or now you're the head football coach at Houston. The profession needs more of those guys that break through, and they show the younger guys that it's okay to grind.
Mm-hmm.
You don't always have to be shooting for OC at Ohio State and then you're handed the Ohio State job. It's okay to go NAIA, Division II, junior college, whatever. And so when a guy like Kellen DeBoer in a short amount of time gets rewarded, that is great for the sport. Absolutely fantastic for the sport. What is also good for KU football is that this is wild to think. One that when Harbaugh leaves Michigan, 3 of the 4 coaches that were in the college football playoff this year are new somewhere else.
Yep.
They're retired or they're somewhere else. But we now live in a world, this will make you happy. I'm looking out for you because now I'm starting to worry about your personal safety today with the Cowboys. Is you have a football coach in Lawrence, Kansas, who turned down a team that was playing for a national championship a week ago tonight.
So in real time of how this was going on, we were watching a program since there was no football on until 3:30.
Yeah, that was tough yesterday between 12 and about 3:30 to find.
But we binged The Bear, which is a good show.
By the way, for you Chiefs fans there, they replayed the AFC Championship game, so that was on leading up to the Green Bay Dallas game.
Yeah, But so in real time, I'm following on the Twitter and I'm thinking, oh, that's funny. Yes, they're throwing out another job for Lance Leipold. Within the hour, that went to there's some smoke here. Enough so that I sent a couple of text messages to people that would know. And so then fast forward to when the night was over after that wonderful display of professional football yesterday afternoon, I thought this day could have been really bad. So yeah, thank you, Gary, for looking out for me, because positive thinking, it wasn't as bad. It was expected, and there's Monday afternoon playoff football.
And
Thank
who are you a
I'm
bigger
better.
fan of, KU basketball or KU football?
KU football.
See, there you
It's
go.
not even
and you got to win.
Now,
you got a big
we
win.
gotta
Kept your
win.
guy.
Now, I don't.
I
mean-
know where this is leading.
I don't mean to rain on your parade, but
because I don't disagree with you.
The Big 12 cannot survive like it is right now.
No.
Because it is a conference that is a basketball conference. It is now becoming a feeder program for the Big 2.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona is in a great spot.
That's a good job.
Arizona before yesterday, great spot. They got a really good roster. They're going into the Big 12.
Yep.
They might be favorites in the Big 12, which does what? Gets you a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
But your head football coach now is in the Big 10. So thank you to everybody that is not the Big 10 or the SEC. You are becoming feeder programs for the rest of college football. Great for us around here, because I don't care about y'all. Okay? It's just about us. It's bad for college football because the separation is just going to grow and grow and grow. And then the domino of a Florida State leads to a Clemson, leads to a North Carolina. And then it truly is the Big 2 and a bunch of scraps. But I don't know how the Big 12 survives long-term if they can't fix football, where Fish stays at Arizona because it's a better gig than in Seattle.
Yeah.
They just can't do that.
The reports were they put his contract as not a priority.
Yeah. Well, and then
that's the day he could leave.
They have some financial issues at U of A.
But that goes back to what you just said. It's haves or have not.
I mean, I look at, there's a whole discussion in the SEC is, oh man, they hired DeBoer. Does he understand the culture of the SEC? Are you afraid of him? DeBoer in the Big 10. Ooh. Now, Fish in the Big 10? Yeah. And especially what they have to replace at Washington.
Right.
See, I like Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning's a problem. I think the first couple of years, the new 4 that are joining the Big 10 are going to be in for a rude awakening.
It's only natural that you are. We saw that when Nebraska, where they were feeling where they were as a program going to the Big 10. And even with things that have changed a lot since almost 15 years since that happened, there's always going to be those types of growing pains. And you're right about when you look at like an Oregon, and I think with what they were able to kind of gain here in the last week of a guy that obviously was going to be a prime candidate for the Alabama job, that recommits to that university and what that does to re-solidify your recruiting and the current roster that you have. That's a group that the way that they play too, the way he coaches, having defensive pedigree as well. I feel like that one makes more sense. I think DeBoer, yeah, you're right. I think DeBoer in Washington, the way that he's started to kind of build that thing ready for the Big 10, that was a huge loss for Washington. A big loss. I don't know where I'm at with Lincoln Riley, too. Until they prove that they can play defense, I'm not overly concerned that that's a team that is just going to overwhelm you, that they're going to be right on the same steps as the Ohio States when it comes to what they do from both offense and defense. And then UCLA, yeah, I don't think there's a lot there. Again, when you look at those types of teams, and the change of leadership is one thing, but also the style that you're used to. I also think about the Big 12 right now, and that
great basketball conference.
It's a hell of a basketball.
Love me some basketball. TCU, Texas Tech, KU,
ESPN Plus.
Man,
Arizona, and you guys, I'm sure saw this too. The Arizona job and what that's going to attract. You've seen a lot of like Barry Odom, but I saw in On 3 they even had guy we all remember, Scott Frost, as a person that Arizona might be looking at, because a lot of those
courses,
and a lot of those teams that he had success in his time at Central Florida are now all Big 12 teams too.
By the way, Arizona plays at Central Florida. I think it's
they should hire Jeff Traylor.
Yes, and he's on that list.
Texas connections, good coach.
But if you're from Arizona, let's stick with Scott Frost. If you're Arizona, well, here's a guy Justin Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Justin Wilcox is going to be living in Berkeley.
What about Chadwell? Again,
I'm with you on Wilcox.
I think he's a South guy.
Yeah.
So, but back to the connection between Frost and Arizona. I think it's a smart move by Arizona to kick the tires. Arizona, by the way, plays at Central Florida this year. Whatever happens in Scott's next move, football life, and he lives in Phoenix, so wouldn't be that much of a transition. It's also the Big 12, so it's not the Big 10 or the SEC.
He played in the Big 12,
and it's a much different Big 12.
I think it's a wise move for Arizona to have him on a list. The thing will always be with Scott for his next job. Are you getting the Central Florida Scott Frost or are you getting the Nebraska Scott Frost? And I'm not just talking about their X's and O's, their football acumen on the field. What are you getting with their personality and the way they set up their program and the way they approach expectations, whether they are in the spotlight or not in the spotlight. Now, in Tucson, you're not the number one sport.
Right.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
That is, Tommy Lloyd's got that taken care of.
Yeah.
So your question is, if you're Arizona or anybody else that hires him, are you getting the Central Florida Scott or are you getting the Nebraska Scott?
I think all signs would point to you are more likely to get the Central Florida Scott because of the parameters that do exist to that job compared to Nebraska, where you're not the only show in town, where this is also a football conference that's predicated a lot more on offense. It's different. It's, again, I don't want to sit here and pretend you know exactly where it all went bad for Scott Frost, but having the overwhelming attention on a football program for a guy who experienced it as a quarterback, you would think would not be that big of a shell shock. But a football program that doesn't have that type, and you're right, I mean, even in their own university, they're not the number one, like you just said, with basketball. That, to me, all of those things point to a guy that can kind of build his style in a way that's not going to be dissected day in and day out, where I think, and not just Scott Frost, too, I think there are other coaches that feel a lot more comfortable being able to do that. I personally think that would be more up Scott Frost's, more in his wheelhouse.
It makes sense, and I think it probably is more him pursuing the job.
Mm-hmm.
Job comes open.
Definitely a conversation to have.
It's in your backyard. But through all of this process, and Michigan's the domino to fall. Because at this point, I mean, we'd all be surprised if Harbaugh was back.
Yep.
And whatever happens there, who's going to be their quarterback next year?
Mm-hmm.
Is the guy in Ames?
Yeah.
Did he flame out? So Matt Campbell.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So Matt Campbell.
That's still a good football coach.
Was at the top of every list. Going to be the Ohio State guy. Going to be the Michigan guy.
Going
to be the Washington guy yesterday. Going to be any big job that is open. Matt Campbell's name is not coming up.
Nope.
Now, is that because he had his moment? He didn't seize it. He said, you know what? Ames is pretty good to me. I want to stay here. And everybody backed off because they still have gone to a bowl game. Now, I mean, his record isn't overwhelming, but has a lot of respect in the industry. He's doing what he's doing at Iowa State. I wonder if it is, hey, everybody, I'm just going to stay here. Because when the USC job was open, there were guys on his staff. So USC wanted to talk to Matt Campbell. And Matt Campbell wanted to wait for the season to be over. But he had assistants saying, because there were guys at USC that were reaching out to them and were saying, hey, USC wants to talk to you, coach. Why can't – no, I want to talk to him until after the year's over. And they're like, well, I don't know if USC will wait. That's a great job. I think maybe he loves it at Iowa State. Iowa State's a good place for him. But it is interesting where his name is not like at the forefront. Matt Campbell is not releasing a video that says, I'm staying.
Right.
Like everybody else has done in the last week that got paid, whether you were represented by Jimmy Sexton or not. I just wonder. I mean, it's a win for Iowa State, I would think.
I think so.
Iowa State gets to keep their coach. And if we've gone through a couple of cycles of jobs that would be fits, and Matt Campbell is still in Ames. Matt Campbell might be in Ames for a long, long time. I mean, we're talking even the NFL. His name isn't even mentioned anymore about the NFL.
Yeah, and I like Matt Campbell, and I think I've told you guys this before too. When Scott Frost first got fired, and we were all doing our lists of who we'd like to see, I had Matt Campbell on, a guy that you could do a lot worse than. And I know during that cycle, not just the Nebraska job, but other jobs that were open. Remember, Iowa State kind of struggled there towards the end to where the stock on him was getting lower. But again, that was what I didn't like, is you're judging it by a one season as opposed to a holistic approach of what he's done at Iowa State, which I think is still pretty solid of what he's done at Iowa State. The only thing that I would say right now is I do think that stock is not nearly as great as it was when he was being mentioned for big time jobs like that. I heard this the other day when they were talking about DeBoer, and this was before we even knew that Nick Saban was retiring and that he would be a candidate for that. But there was talk of, boy, if Jim Harbaugh left, would Michigan go calling for Kalen DeBoer? And it was that reminder of, for a fan base like Washington, hey, take it as a compliment. When teams come calling for your coach, that means people are interested. So you should be very interested. And you probably are. Chances are very, very interested in your coach too, of the job he's doing with your program. The only thing I wonder is if there is that lack of attention or desire to seek out Matt Campbell, is there waning confidence of his ability to run a even bigger program than Iowa State? Of when other teams are not interested in your head coach, does that mean eventually you're going to lose interest in your head coach too?
I don't know. He was a serious candidate for the Jets job. I think that's a beast.
Mm-hmm. I think Iowa State, though, and this was what I think is very interesting about Iowa State and Jamie Pollard and the way that athletic department takes care of their coaches too. For a place that isn't the powerhouse in the Big 12, for a place that is solid, they can win some recruiting battles here and there. They take care of their coaches. And I'd like to think I was sensing a little bit of animosity towards Matt Campbell. And again, I think it had a lot to do with people just getting pissed off that they kept hearing his name rumored for a bunch of jobs, that you all of a sudden expected Iowa State to be this juggernaut. So there was a real small moment in that season 2 years ago where I heard some Iowa State fans say, yep, take him. We don't want him anymore.
I don't know. Maybe we come down to the fact that, and we're playing fantasy move coaches all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something in the industry where Matt Campbell is happy where he's at and the grass is not always greener on the other side. And he's got a great relationship with his AD.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I can raise my family here. The expectations are what they are.
He makes good money. They take good care of him.
Cost of living's not high.
I'm going to say.
I think Iowa State, I think it's unique that way, where even with not having a winning program year in out, or at least a program that's contending for the conference year in and year out, that their ticket sales are good. The financial support behind salaries and what you can pull out for your coaching staff too is pretty good for a program that is not considered to be an elite football program. They spend and they take care of theirs. If you do right by them, then they're gonna take care of you. And I think Jamie Pollard and Iowa State have.
He likes cold weather.
Speaking of days and how long it takes you to hire somebody, I have to read this because I'm being fair here. I don't want to be one-sided. Iowa JD says, stop bearing the lead. It's been 317 days since Nebraska beat Iowa in football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, and wrestling.
Oh, yes.
Also, when I got home on Friday, I had a snow blowout. 3 other neighbors, all were Hawkeye fans. Well, you live in Iowa. Okay, what do you expect? Disappointment because they shut down 80 on Friday. We didn't go to the Iowa-Nebraska.
Oh, you guys didn't go?
No.
You
couldn't get there. 80 was shut down.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like driving...
you're going to go back roads?
Highway 6.
Yeah.
You're going to get off of the outlets.
And it's too bad. Amy Just is going to join us a little bit later in about 2 hours. She was there, and they would have had a great, great crowd.
Mm-hmm.
On TV, it's still a really cool atmosphere, and Iowa beat Nebraska in wrestling again. But, they probably would have had 3,000-4,000 more that possibly have been there. So, yeah, we didn't go. But I do have a question, though, concerning Iowa. So Greg Byrne acted quickly. Somebody with a plan.
Yep.
When Saban announced his retirement, you know where Byrne was? No?
No.
He was in Seattle.
Oh,
So the day that Saban announced his
oh
retirement.
yeah. Sorry. When he announced, I thought you meant when they announced DeBoer.
Greg Byrne woke up in Seattle on the day that Saban announced his retirement.
So he knew who he wanted. He had his plan.
They already identified and they had moved on, and they did it quickly. He informed the players. He kept everybody in the loop. Told the players it'd be 48 to 72 hours. I'll have a coach for you.
Mm-hmm.
He got that. I have a question for Iowa fans. You guys ready? Today is the 76th day that they have had an OC position open. 76 days.
They haven't hired Scott Frost yet?
They have not hired an offensive coordinator in Iowa City.
What's the plan, Kirk?
Well, what do you think it is?
I don't know at this point, because I thought for a while it just seemed like, okay, we're waiting for the season to kind of come to a wrap. Maybe there was somebody that was still involved in the playoff, or Paul Chryst. Now that we're at the point of a week removed from college football period, and we still haven't heard anything, I can honestly say
What's going on in Iowa City?
I have no idea what
Let's get to the
they're
nuts
doing.
and bolts here.
I
What's
have
going on
no
in Iowa
idea what
City?
they're doing.
76 days, they haven't hired an OC. They got an interim athletic director who she is more than qualified. She has not had that tag taken off.
Yep.
What's going on in Iowa City?
Remove the interim tag and find an OC. No, I literally have
got Caitlin Clark.
I literally have zero clue what they're trying to do right now. Even if it wasn't going to be a great plan for Iowa as far as having a lot of change with their offense, I always felt like just having some fresh blood in there, somebody not named Brian Ferentz, was going to give your offense at least some type of a spike that could still lead to success given how good that defense is. So Paul Chryst, even though he doesn't represent this major change of offensive philosophy, he knows what works for Iowa. He's been around the Big Ten as well, knows what works with the type of physical overall style that you want to play with. Even that, to me, wouldn't have been like this super sexy pick, but it would have been something better. Where is that? So I don't know what they're doing. I have no clue what they're trying to do right now.
Jimmy, this will make you feel better.
Anything?
John, who is a diehard Cowboy fan.
Hi, John.
He said the
Good
one
name.
shining light of this morning is F Iowa. Okay. Apparently, he will not be participating in the Iowa caucuses.
Not caucusing.
He's not caucusing.
Oh,
I got to do it twice when I was
you
growing up
caucused
in Iowa. Yeah. My mom, my dad wasn't a big political guy, but my mom got into it. So I went to the caucus twice and sat there and saw the whole process.
Was it fascinating?
It was at my 1 year. It was at my grade school.
How long did the caucus process take?
It was like 2.5, 3 hours.
Okay.
It was
Wow.
It was kind of long.
Yeah.
People got kind of heated.
Yeah.
I would get sleepy.
I've never felt the urge to caucus in my life.
Well, you're in Nebraska.
That's true.
You don't.
I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with the caucus.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. It's a meeting.
Is it an Iowa thing? If you know, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge deal in Iowa.
Right.
Secret handshake.
Hey, it's a huge deal because also when I was younger, you would see presidents that would roll through your school.
See, that would be kind of cool.
Or politicians that would come to your school.
That would be kind of neat if you knew who certain political figures were, and maybe you see them on TV and all of a sudden they're right there. Like as a young person, that's something. That would be kind of neat. You'd remember that.
George Bush came to our school.
Which one?
The elder,
Okay.
George Bush. Came to our school during the caucus time.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, see, exactly. I would have been like, wow,
it's very
this is
educational.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. I mean, hey, it's a big deal tonight for the state of Iowa. It's gonna be bitterly friggin' cold,
as it should be.
Yeah, but this is the spotlight for Iowa. I just want to know if I'd go to the caucus, I'd be like, raise my hand.
Is Caitlin Clark part of the caucus?
They're like, are you Donald, Nikki, or Ron? No. I just want to know, when are you going to hire an offensive coordinator? It's been 76 days. All right, 36 past the hour. Jacob Bigelow stops by a little bit later. We'll talk some Husker hoops. And also, is Greg Gard the National Coach of the Year right now in college basketball? You would have told me that Chucky Hepburn would attempt 3 shots in a game and Wisconsin would win handily. I'd have thought you're absolutely crazy. Chucky got hurt. That's too bad. He isn't hurt, and Wisconsin's really, really good as they remain unbeaten in the Big Ten. But Nebraska goes on the road on Wednesday at Rutgers. Creighton goes on the road. What are you doing, Jimmy? All I can see is your finger.
Oh, the camera is acting weird, so I was trying to move it. Yeah.
I got big hands. You know what they say about big hands?
Big gloves.
Big gloves.
Big gloves.
Yep.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. Hey, ticketsforless.com is the place for you. That's absolutely right. You know what? Right now, you're looking for the best seats without the hidden fees, then you need to check out Tickets for Less. Whether it's Creighton games, they got some great matchups on the horizon. Husker matchups, you don't want to miss coming up on Saturday. Northwestern is here. Danny Nee is here. Tickets for Less can put you in the building. Or big-time concerts and events, they've got you covered, all with no service fees. That's the thing I love about ticketsforless.com is they have no service fees. And right now, I'm giving you a great deal. Use the code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com and save on your next event. Go there right now or download the app and you can shop with ease. Ticketsforless.com. Find the event you want because every seat holds a story. Find yours, but most importantly, use the promo code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com or on that Tickets for Less app today, and you'll save big with my good friends at Tickets for Less.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Will this be a tainted championship? In my opinion, it will be, yes. The fact that you had a coach literally sit out 6 games this year, this type of a scandal actually affected the play on the field to some degree. To what degree, we don't know. This scandal has to do with affecting the outcome on the field.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Wind chill warning remains in effect throughout the day Monday with feels like temperatures between 20 and 30 below zero. Northwest winds pick up in the morning, gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour throughout the afternoon. Mostly cloudy and a few flurries possible, highs around -1. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dreamtime Saving Traffic Center, there's no new accidents to report as of right now, as the accidents on northbound JFK at Chandler is cleared and the accident on Cornhusker and 36 is cleared. An important reminder to take note, the roads are still slick, so you want to give yourself plenty of time to get to your destination. Also, you're going to expect freezing temperatures through the remainder of the week, so you want to bundle up in case anything bad happens on the road. Buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
So with Saul's Jewelry and Loan dealing with designer bags, what is another option that our clients have if they don't want to actually sell their item?
If you're looking to borrow some money, you don't necessarily want to get rid of it. We can hold on to it for safekeeping until you're ready to come pick it back up.
There's a reason people are joining the movement behind Nikki Haley.
He's a very, very successful governor.
Haley shows us what American foreign policy looks like with a spine.
Your family deserves a president with grit and grace, a different style, not a name from the past. Nikki Haley will secure our border, restore our economy, and make our nation respected once more. Listen to Nikki Haley.
Our moment is now. Our mission is clear. Let's save our country and secure our future, and let's move forward together toward our destiny in a strong and proud America.
Iowa, it's time to caucus. Go to NikkiHaley.com/Iowa to learn more. And on Monday, January 15th, don't forget to caucus for a new generation of conservative leadership. That's NikkiHaley.com/Iowa.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
The GOAT is coming to Kansas City. Sporting KC will host Inter Miami and Lionel Messi, the greatest of all time, at the loudest stadium in the world. See Johnny Russell, Alan Polito, and the rest of your hometown team take on Messi, Luis Suarez, and more at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium on Saturday, April 13th. It's the soccer capital of America versus the greatest of all time. Get your tickets while you still can at sportingkc.com.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Our free 2024 Gold Investment Guide isn't just a collection of tips. It's a treasure map to possible wealth in a shifting economy. We've distilled expertise and insights into this comprehensive guide, tailored for both newcomers and veteran investors. Ride the wave of gold to unprecedented heights. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 for your free guide. Call 800-900-8000 now.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the January winter sale, January 12th through the 22nd, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $31.14. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, how long do you guys think it took for Netflix to get 100 million users?
2010.
When did Netflix become a thing?
Well, I remember the
online
DVD
subscribing?
stuff in like 2008, but
I bet it took 4 years.
10 years.
Oh, well.
Twitter.
3 years.
Close.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. Facebook, 4.5 years. TikTok took 9 months to get 100 million users.
Woo!
Chat GPT, 2 months.
Wow.
I am wondering how long it took for that random pirated Reddit live stream of the Chiefs-Dolphins game on Saturday night to get to 100 million.
I did not see this. I heard something about this yesterday.
Good for
them. What was going on with this thing?
Well, have you not? So you've pirated streams, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So especially like boxing or other big events.
Yeah. I've actually done it with Bears games before.
Okay. Yeah, and there's quite a few that are out there. Some they might infect your computer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's all for the sport.
Yeah. You know going in what the risks are.
Shout out LimeWire.
So there was somebody that had tapped in and they put the Peacock stream up on Reddit. And so people were watching it because people were lashing out at the NFL for charging them to watch an NFL playoff game. We discussed this at length last week because Nebraska played Purdue. Now, here is a benefit of Peacock. Is I have found the show Poker Face, which is a really, really good show. And
we watched that.
If you are on Peacock, it is it's quite an entertaining show. I would recommend it. So I found that. So that's a benefit of Peacock.
I like Office and Parks and Rec. You got that on Peacock.
Yeah, but this is like an original show.
Okay.
You should watch it. It's good.
Peacock original.
So you get you find out, hey, all right, wrestling is on, all that other kind of stuff that is on there. But we talked about Peacock last week. And if you drop Peacock after the Nebraska-Maryland game, then you picked it up for Nebraska-Purdue, and then you got the Chiefs this weekend. You got wrestling at the end of the month. Just remember, you got to drop it or you get charged. But I did notice that conveniently after the Chiefs-Dolphins game, I started to get emails into my work email of a discounted rate for a year's subscription to Peacock.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we saw that. We got mad.
But here's what's scary about what happened Saturday night with that game being exclusively on Peacock is the NFL is bragging about their ratings.
Not good.
Be very, very afraid because the NFL, which is a juggernaut, got good ratings, whether they made them up or not. Because I sent an email to the PR person at Peacock. I was just curious on the ratings for the Nebraska-Maryland football game. And then I wanted to see if they had numbers for Nebraska-Purdue. My curiosity. Psst, crickets. But the NFL was quick to announce last night, while games were going on free TV, how well they did with these streaming numbers. They're getting a lot of money. Peacock is paying a lot of money. The NFL is getting a lot of money. We've become accustomed in college sports that our games are behind a paywall. I think that's bad news for all of us that want to keep just one game behind a paywall in the playoffs, that more could be on the way.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if we get a divisional round. I still think conference championship games and obviously the Super Bowl are safe for now. But it was interesting yesterday, to kind of further your point about the victory lap that the NFL has taken with Peacock, is it also, I think, became a part. I don't think it organically became a part, but it was, I think, almost maybe a mandate. Last night with Tirico and Collinsworth talking about how it was a historical night in Kansas City.
Oh, yeah.
When they were talked about the first game ever. Yeah, exactly. First game
like state
ever.
Media.
Yeah. And so that was part of the, hey, make sure that you pump up the fact that this was a historical moment, not a inconvenience, but a historical opportunity. I mean, talk about sort of forming the narrative of that in the context of that game. So, and then if you also saw last night, I mean, they had their Peacock lineup. You know that Indiana-Purdue this week, tomorrow night, will be on Peacock as well. So
people in the Hoosier State will be triggered.
I'm sure they will.
Have a watch party.
I mean, that game
the
is
Oaken Bucket.
That game is built for like BTN or FS1.
Yeah.
Or heck, even Big Fox. But it's behind in Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the one thing. If I as much as I want to fight it, I'm okay with change. Now, I'm not okay with change. I get it. I get this is the deal. There's a lot of stuff we all pay for that are behind paywall, whether it be websites you subscribe to, streaming services, things like that. But if you're going to give me a Peacock playoff game, and I almost want my money back because I had to put it with Jason Garrett. Jimmy.
Sorry, reflex. They'll probably hire him again. There's your Dave Campo 2.0.
Jason Garrett. Is there one thing of substance he has said since he has made the transition to television?
No.
No, but I also would say the same recently for Tony Dungy.
But let me tell you about Thanksgiving Day 30
Tony
years
Dungy
ago.
has said some things of substance. Jason Garrett, like over time.
Oh yeah, over time. Yeah, no, I'm
that's what we're
talking
about.
Okay,
I'm talking.
Ever as
Jason Garrett.
as a person.
Here's Jason Garrett. So I was subject to Jason Garrett. Why couldn't Collinsworth do 2 games? Tirico did 2 games.
That's what I wanted to
He
know.
did Kansas City, and then he went home to Detroit last night. Where was Collinsworth? So we're subject to Jason Garrett.
Or throw baby Collinsworth up there. He sounds like him anyway.
Hey, Notre Dame fans, I'm with you. You had to put up with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett on television had 2 of the worst days, in my opinion. One, okay, I asked the question. I want an answer. What is one thing of substance that he has said?
I'm drawing a blank. I can't really think of one.
He is a flip-flopper. Did you listen to any of his commentary about what the Dolphins should do? And then almost in the second sentence, he changed his opinion.
Oh, how they should be running the football, and then all of a sudden they needed to take advantage of their passing attack.
He is Mr. Low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
He is Captain Obvious. He doesn't say anything of substance.
Last game of the season, Mike.
And we are subject to him on Peacock. I'll pay for your football game, but my God, do not give me Jason Garrett. And then I got to put up with him last night. NBC has Jason Garrett. Okay, they see something in him. I don't know if he's a draw. I don't tune in to watch Jason Garrett, but I tune in to watch football, and I'm watching the halftime show last night. Ideal guy to talk about what's going on in Dallas, right?
Absolutely.
He worked for Jerry Jones. He got the axe. He knows what kind of pressure is there. He went round and round. They tried to get him.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to lead him into saying something of substance. Do you realize how tough that is when you're having a conversation with somebody and you want them to say something and they won't because they don't have the tools in the toolbox? They tried so hard last night to get him to just talk about what it's like. And they went round and round and round. And then he's like, well, there could be something big happen. And they went to a break.
All right.
Did anybody
Wow.
have as bad a weekend as Jason Garrett did?
Mike McCarthy.
Jason Garrett might have topped him. He had 2 days of bad stuff.
True.
McCarthy just had 60 minutes of football.
Yeah, I would be hard pressed to find anybody else who did. Yeah.
Hey, but
he's not dynamic. I think, my God, if you paired him with Ian Eagle, he would still be bad. And it's all about the partner. And Noah, excuse me, not Ian. Noah had a great. I mean, Noah's really, really good, and he was good with Blackledge on the Texan Brown game.
Yep.
But Jason Garrett is just. If I'm watching Peacock, do not give me Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett gives me nothing as an analyst. Nothing.
Well, and this is where I can't stand Rex Ryan, but I will give him credit. He will.
Or Grossman.
Oh, damn. That's another story. He will at least say some things that, whether it's on the point or not, that at least is challenging certain aspects of it. I think there's an angle. I think Rex Ryan at one point, I don't know if he's still doing it. I think at one point was also trying to angle for a job as well. But there are certain personalities that I don't think I necessarily would agree with what they're saying, but they're giving you something to chew on. And this is what
we're going to. I love Greg Olson. We're going to replace Greg Olson with Tom Brady, which is just a major mistake.
Yeah. And see, Greg Olson is a perfect example of that, where what I would think is for Jason Garrett, it's not his personality to get in depth on stuff like that for whatever reason. But
then don't put him on the air.
I agree with that too.
No, we need to stop putting people on the air that give you nothing.
Well, Greg Olson,
radio, TV, whatever.
I'd say this for Greg Olson. He comes across as a guy that, even with what he is seeing and what he is analyzing and giving it to the audience, he's still very likable. Like, I think sometimes there's that fear that if you really go out on kind of cutting into, like Jason Garrett, like his coaching experience and the things that he probably does have insight on and would be able to articulate it very well, he feels like it's going to be maybe unfair to another side. So he doesn't want to piss off the other side of what he's trying to lay out. I think Greg Olson does it to a science, to where no matter what he's talking about, you see it and it's right on. You're like, yep, okay, I see what you're saying. But he never comes across as like confrontational of like, God, this guy's a jerk. This guy hates my team. Like, he calls it as he sees it. And he does it in a perfect manner.
Okay, so was that so back to Jason Garrett? What's Jason Garrett give people?
Nothing. He talks.
Yeah.
He's
same thing he gave us for 10 years.
He's a former coach, and
he had a great day on Thanksgiving in 1994.
And I think that for him, and maybe for the network too, that justifies, well, people know him as a coach, so whatever he says, you're going to be like, well, that's coming from a coach. Well, people aren't that stupid either. Like, I had the same problem when I would listen to Bobby Knight on Big Mondays.
Shop fake.
Bobby Knight, even though he loved Brett Musburger, he completely just would half-ass the broadcast so bad. He just would not give you anything. And for a guy that sees things, has opinions, and can talk about it, gave you nothing. Absolutely gave you nothing other than he was just very grumpy and didn't really want to be there. Like, that to me was more disappointing than anything, because I thought, oh God, Bobby Knight on a broadcast, this ought to be fun. It really wasn't.
Once I heard Garrett's voice on the Chiefs game, I was like, oh God. Because I like Tirico. Tirico is smart. He's entertaining.
He had a good night.
But man, Jason Garrett, and then to double down last night when they basically walked him into the ocean and said, hey, get wet for us about what's going on in Dallas. And the man was wearing like a scuba suit.
Yeah. Well, as far as
I want my money back, Peacock, for putting up with Garrett for 3+ hours.
Well, watch Poker Face before you.
And who is experienced?
I'm glad we're on the same page there. That is a really good show.
It's a good show.
I've never watched.
It's easily bingeable.
Okay, I like bingeable stuff there. See, I will be a Peacock. I'll be a Peacock subscriber just because they got enough stuff on there that we would be interested in. But going back to the Jason Garrett part of this too, who recently has better, more telling experiences with that organization than Jason Garrett right now? Without overindulging or putting things that needed to stay in the locker room or needed to stay behind closed doors. There's so much that in a moment like that, because when there's something going on with the Cowboys, everybody is interested. Everybody wants to know what's going on. I'm sure NBC thought the same thing too last night. We've got the perfect person to give us insight without even stepping over lines. So it's a missed opportunity. That's disappointing.
All right. Jacob Bigelow coming up a little bit later. Amy Just as well. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
The world's on fire. Attacks in the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia at war. And right here, Joe Biden has created a dangerous threat to every American. Biden's open border policies have opened the floodgates to a record number streaming in, 12,000 in one day alone. This means increased terrorist threats and even more deadly fentanyl being delivered to our neighborhoods. President Trump will change that. He'll secure our borders by building even more wall. He'll end visitors from terrorist countries being allowed to enter. And Trump will treat the drug cartels the same as he treated terrorists who kill Americans. President Trump, the strength to protect our borders and our families.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President 2024, Inc.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more, up to $100. Ends 2/10. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Hey there, Greg Wagner joining you from the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission. Time now for another Outdoor Nebraska update. It's hunting time in the Husker State. For a safe season, remember to be totally certain of your target and your background before you fire that shot. In a moment, ask yourself, is the bullet flight path clear? Is that a legitimate target? And what am I going to hit if I miss my shot? Please be careful out there. If you'd like more information on hunting safety, go to outdoornebraska.gov. That's outdoornebraska.gov. From wildfowl to owls. Great time of year to step outside and watch wildlife. Many animals are still active, plus the leaves have mostly fallen, vegetation is set back, and we'll have some warmer weather. Maybe you'll hike a state park trail or head to a public reservoir to do that. Oh, and don't forget your camera. Oh, it's on your phone. That's right. I'm Greg Wagner.
Your Omaha Mavericks hockey team is back in action at Baxter Arena as the Mavs take on the top 10 ranked Denver Pioneers Friday and Saturday, January 19th and 20th. Get your tickets for these games and all remaining games as the Mavericks compete for the NCHC Championship. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now by calling the box office at 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tigs.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the January winter sale, January 12th through the 22nd, and get 30% off paints and stains with prices starting at $31.14. That means 30% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, get 30% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Think about the late game last night between the Rams and the Lions, and there was the low hit on Higbee, torn ACL, and the hits on Stafford. Man, that game was brutal. They were crushing each other last night. I was surprised Stafford came back.
I was. I guess I wasn't for the fact that it was a playoff game, and
not from the fact that it was a playoff game.
That he actually could get up.
The protocol of the NFL when it comes to concussions.
Like, he looked like
I'm actually surprised that Mahomes, they didn't trigger, signal down that we got to take a look at Mahomes after he got hit in the head, where part of his helmet came off. But I was really surprised that Stafford, essentially went in, came right back out, because I thought he was done.
His eyes rolled back. Yeah. And do we know the concussion protocols followed to a T in the playoffs? Just going to ask that question. Do we know that it is followed to a T? Because I've seen guys that look not as bad as what, especially when Stafford got knocked down, when you take that shot and then you also have the helmet that hits the ground on the way down. Again, the eyes, that was kind of a scary thing. We've seen a lot less of that where guys have not returned in the regular season. I just kind of found it interesting that he was back that quick. I do. I question that. I question if the concussion protocol is followed to the same height that it is in the regular season. I mean, we're talking big money. We're talking the NFL. I know player safety is first and foremost the main emphasis, but I also wonder when it comes to the almighty dollar and what we're viewing and what was a fantastic game, that did you really want to see Carson Wentz come out and finish that game? So I don't call me a skeptic. I don't know if it is
Sean
followed.
McVay and Brett Maher out to kick a field goal at the end of the game. That's what I wanted to see.
Everybody did, right?
But
no, I question that.
The snot out of each other last night.
I question that. I really do question that. If it's followed and it has the same type of straight line protocol types of, okay, if you are doing this, or is there a little gray area of like, how do you feel? If, let's say this, does a player have more of a say in the playoffs than what they would in the regular season?
That I don't know. All I know is that Matthew Stafford still has it.
Mm-hmm.
When you put weapons around him and some of the throws he made last night, he still got it. But I was okay with them booing him. I'll explain a little bit later. Booing is part of sports. Booing at a ceremony, not part of sports. Hour away from Jacob Bigelow. Talk some hoops, Nebraska. We can't always keep going to Josiah Alec for a good soundbite. Got to keep going to somebody who's going to get him a road win. That's coming up at 9. Amy Just stops by as well on Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center, we got a couple of accidents on I-80. One on the westbound side at L, blocking the left lane and causing stop-and-go traffic from the I-680, I-80 corridor. The other is on the eastbound side before you hit Giles Road. Also, we got reports of slick conditions on westbound 90th and Dodge. Be sure to take it slow and steady. Buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck by playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 2 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Put your coffee department in good hands with Host Coffee Service, providing direct delivery and loaned coffee equipment with service programs. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
O'Reilly.
Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Super Start battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
It's 40 love here in the third set.
And there's the bell. She's coming off the bench hot, looking for a quick knockdown. But wait, she's driving to the hoop. Oh, down goes the champ.
Now that's another double fault. She'll be shooting too. The serve is up.
And here comes the left hook. She's bundled her home and auto insurance with Progressive. Swish, ace, savings, TKO.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Creighton basketball is on 1620 The Zone, KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs, and on 1019 The Keg, KOOO, La Vista, Omaha. Brought to you by Tickets for Less. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
You guys rather die of frostbite or lose? Go out in the snow and roll around like today. It's still negative. I know it was only -3 when I got the car this morning.
Yeah. My car had a tough time
Warming
starting
up.
even in the garage.
We've been below
But it did.
zero
But
since
it's fine.
Saturday morning.
It's a great line by Patino. I like that.
I don't know. I mean,
he likes Omaha too.
Hey, it's how you respond from a loss, right? I don't think I'd want to die in the cold. I don't think I'd want to die in frostbite. So I'm still going to say I'd rather lose and just have the confidence in my ability to come back stronger the next time.
They have, I think they have Seton Hall next.
Mm-hmm.
One thing on the road, if they don't hit 3-point shots, they're in trouble. Well, they couldn't hit any threes whatsoever in that game. But Patino was entertaining. It wasn't, that's the soundbite that gets a lot of love. His comment about officials because he was baited to go after him.
No, that was
he's
really
smart.
good.
He's been around the block. He's smart enough to know that St. John's blew that game.
Mm-hmm.
They're up 9 in Omaha against Creighton, and they kind of had Creighton on the ropes, and they got beat at the end. Really, nothing fancy that Creighton did. I mean,
No.
Creighton opened the door. I mean, missed free throws, which like the Kalkbrenner free throws are something to be concerned about. But I know why. I know why he didn't go there. All the low hanging fruit, because his team didn't play well down the stretch. They had a huge missed opportunity to take that game from Creighton, and they weren't able to do it. But he's great for the Big East. I mean, the Big East is loaded with exceptional coaches, and
personalities,
Him
too.
at St. John's is great because he's going to be able to recruit, attract, and he can coach basketball. I don't know that they're a great team. They have a lot of weird pieces that somehow are trying to fit together, but the man can coach, and he's a draw. He walked out on the floor at the beginning, when they came out to for tip-off, and it's like, wow. I remember seeing Chris Mullen when he
Mhm.
walked out, and I was more enamored with Chris Mullen not wearing socks and these super expensive alligator shoes. And I'm like, oh man, my ankles would I'd have blisters. But when
We probably had no shows
when
on.
Patino walked out on Saturday, I was like, that is friggin' Rick Pitino. Wow.
Still walking out as a G.
It's
Love him.
A little bit older. He's got, you can tell the body's been around the block a couple of times, but it's still, you look at him and he's standing there with his arms crossed.
Yeah.
Not in a sweatsuit. He's wearing, he's dressed up. I'm like, Rick Pitino, man. Rick Pitino is in the house.
It's how I felt. So I wasn't there on Saturday, but how I felt when we had the regional finals here in Omaha, and you had Bill Self. We'd seen enough in Omaha with the NCAA tournament being here as much as it was, but being able to see Coach K, being able to see Jim Boeheim as well. That was pretty cool to see. And I'm not a Jim Boeheim fan, and Coach K is, he is college basketball, but to just kind of see those guys in person, that was sort of an awe moment. And I think that there's probably a lot of that with Rick Pitino on how you feel about him, as opposed to how you hold him in regard to his ability to coach. You're probably a bit conflicted, but no matter what, his presence, just like those guys' presence, you're just like, wow.
Hey, whether you like him,
K
whether you like him or not, he's not Hurley on the sidelines, where Hurley loses his mind.
Yeah, I noticed he's not out on the floor as much either. He gets out there a little bit, but I think those coaches, we talked about the imaginary box that does not exist anymore in college basketball. Like the zone goes all the way out to midcourt. He wasn't quite out that far, but yeah, he's very active.
How many times you guys watched the video of the skid loader at Home Depot yesterday in Lincoln?
A few times.
I'm waiting for it to. We have the Today Show on here in studio. I'm waiting for it to be shown. There's something going on in Lincoln. This is what happens.
Get that bull in the car.
One, it happens. We're all delirious right now because we've all been shoveling snow for a couple of days. It's bitterly cold out. We're celebrating that it might be 15 degrees on Wednesday, but then I looked at the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like 7 below on Saturday.
Yeah, it gets back
now.
down.
Next week we might get into the 20s and 30s.
Ooh.
So I can see people are really struggling right now. They're fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska football, haven't been to a bowl game in a while. So we get the guy that robbed the store last week in a shower curtain.
Yep.
That's right.
Now you have the guy yesterday who pulled into a U-Stop, borrowing a skid loader from his employer, backed the skid loader out and went to town. I saw the video of him trying to, he rammed it into a liquor store. And then he goes over to Old Home Depot and starts wheeling around the parking lot, damages a Lincoln police car. And I think the guy is really, really lucky he is not waking up on a lead diet today.
Yeah.
He could have been shot.
Yeah.
After what he was trying to pull. But what's going on in Lincoln? Crime Town, you are taking it to a whole nother level. I know it wasn't a good weekend against Iowa. Okay.
We blaming Iowa on this one.
All right. Okay.
Well, we have their weather.
Gosh, Iowa always just gets into our heads, don't they?
But the guy is lucky he didn't get shot.
Yeah.
They would have, I would have just, that guy comes at me with a skid loader and I've got my gun drawn. We're having some speaks. But I have watched that there's like 4 different videos that are out there. There's the one main video where the guy that's filming it, there's people standing in front of him. He goes, move.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Good thing OCP wasn't there.
So have they even said, like, what was he on? Like, what was going on there? Have we got like the toxicology report yet on this? Because my God, like just thinking that that's a good idea and you're just going to run around wreaking havoc in a parking lot with a skid loader and go actually after police, law enforcement SUVs. Like I would think if you're like, you're right. He is lucky he didn't get shot because if you're coming, that's a weapon. You're essentially coming at a police officer with a weapon.
Sound like our political ads that we're running.
Yeah. Like
what's this the America you want?
What the hell, man?
Well, the next thing I was hoping is, please don't let me know this person. Please don't let me know this person.
It's like, I roomed with that guy back in college.
When they announced his name, I was like, I don't think I know who that person is. Puts even more pressure on Rule, right? Poll question. Rule to get it fixed in Lincoln in 24, so we don't have incidents like
that.
Have
more skid loading incidents. People just taking ATVs and other things from their employers and just wreaking havoc.
We can kind of chuckle at it now, but it could have been bad. Yeah. It could have been bad. Really, really bad. A skid loader.
Mm-hmm.
Disgruntled employee who had access to the skid loader.
Yeah.
But his thing, there's a video of inside of the liquor store where I believe it's one of the workers is standing there and you can hear it. And the next thing you know, this guy's come trying to plow through the front door. And then he went down when he drove it a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
Like, what if you were on 70th in Lincoln yesterday? And all of a sudden you're just driving along.
See the skid loader?
And there's a guy just bumping along in a skid loader. And you're like, Okay, maybe got a lot of snow on the ground. Maybe he's going to shovel snow.
Right.
He
Yeah.
he does not seem like the guy that is out to shovel your driveway in the skid loader.
Yeah. If that's a day to try to get away with just driving freely with a skid loader wherever, this last couple of days would have been those days, because we would have. If I would have saw that, I would have assumed, oh yeah, I'm sure he's going to a property right now to help out with snow removal. But he wasn't trying to avoid cars. He was trying to go into cars. So then you realize, okay, we have a problem there. And even then, you'd probably be like, oh man, even he can't get traction on this. This is bad. Like, he's running into cars without even realizing.
Hey, he wasn't a rookie driving the skid loader. He knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, the way
skid loaders are not easy to drive if you are a little inexperienced.
I've never driven. I've driven a forklift before. I've never driven a skid loader.
It's I wouldn't be able to do the wheelies like he was doing.
Yeah, that was. I'd like to think the weather had a little bit to do with the wheelies too. Probably made it a little bit easier to get the rotation.
No, you can do it in a skid loader. Like experienced people, you got to whip that thing around.
Oh, this guy was like Marshawn Lynch.
So this is actually going to turn out to be sort of a tragic story, because the guy had talent on the skid loader. That talent was misused. It was wasted away.
I don't know. I don't know what he's upset about. Still upset about Purdy's pass against Maryland?
Maybe he's bummed that we couldn't hold on to Purdy. Purdy's at San Jose State.
Hey, last night watching the Rams-Lions game, still don't know why McVay did not throw Maher out there for a 61-yard field goal. That was surrender. Rams should have just been wearing white last night when they went with that. But when they showed, at the open, before they kicked it off, they had Eminem.
Yeah.
I want the hoodie that he was wearing.
The black hoodie. What is it? It just said the one that just said Lions.
No, the hoodie that he was doing in the
open.
that
he's doing the thing with. Yeah, I just remember what he was wearing at the game. What did it say? I'm trying to remember now.
It was the Barry Sanders King.
Oh, okay.
A hoodie.
Okay.
But when they showed him at the game last night, did you guys immediately turn it off?
What, showed him at the game?
Barry?
Yeah, they showed him at the game.
Yeah, no, I didn't turn it off.
You didn't turn it off?
No.
Really?
I didn't turn it off. Actually, I was just angry.
Well, yeah, it'd be okay if you didn't watch football for the rest of your life.
Mm.
You had a bad day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You guys didn't turn it off?
No, why would I?
How many other people turned it off when they showed Eminem?
Ah.
And you got angered.
Ah.
You were really, really upset that they were showing him. You didn't turn it off?
No.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do when they show celebrities? You're supposed to be angry at the NFL and turn it off?
Yeah. These guys don't go to games. They're not the real fan. Yeah,
he wasn't swag surfing, so people weren't.
No, that's more in L.A. You're supposed to get enraged when you're watching a game at SoFi, and then you start showing like Leo DiCaprio and everybody. Then you get pissed off, and you're supposed to turn the game off. That's what I understand. At least that's what Mad Dog told me once.
I mean, it's crazy that fans like us that are the average Joes and Janes, and then people that are more recognized, they go to an NFL football game and they have fun, and some people go out of their way to waste energy and oxygen that they get upset.
Yeah. I have no idea where that even started from. Like, okay, so
no idea. Have you not seen what's going on in Kansas City?
Oh, well, yeah, obviously.
That's where it starts. And I'm being a little sarcastic here because people like Tony Dungy think that Taylor Swift is ruining the game.
Which is an interesting take.
If you get upset, don't watch, okay? Turn the game off. That you would spend enough time being upset that somebody who is a pop culture icon, whose boyfriend happens to play for the Kansas City Chiefs, is at a game and she looks like she's having fun
because her team's
and you're
winning?
upset. I mean, the real reason is you don't like the Chiefs, okay? Because the Chiefs get too much attention and the Chiefs win all the time and the Chiefs don't get in, the Chiefs get all these calls. Well, I don't know. The Chiefs are second in penalty differential in the NFL. I don't know. But I hear like the Tony Dungys and the Steve Youngs are like, she's ruining the NFL. Really? She's the Brett Favre. He an idiot. Saying that she'll be, when the Chiefs are done, she'll be the reason. Get out of here.
So
we're upset because people that are well known go to games and they have fun. And I mean, I think it's great. Eminem is a Detroit guy. He loves the Lions. He's loved the Lions for a long time.
He was sitting with the people, too.
He's supporting the Lions. Now, she can't sit with the people.
Right. No, there's no way.
Yeah. But she goes to the game and she has fun. And people get upset. We have bigger problems, okay? If you're upset, turn the game off.
I mean, it wasn't on TV.
I bring up the the Leonard, as Mad Dog called him, Leonard, the Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was amongst a bunch of celebrities that were. This was the NFC champion, or sorry, the NFC championship game the year the Rams won it 2 years ago, and they were, as you would on a broadcast, you're panning to see all the stars, all the celebrities who made it out, and as you would expect at SoFi Stadium, it wasn't a sellout to see the Rams play. It was a few days later that Mad Dog went on just this absolute tirade about how pissed off he was for two things: that Leonardo DiCaprio was there. How dare he be there when you know he doesn't go to every game? He's not a season ticket holder, and he's sitting there in the luxury suite. How dare he be up there having a good time watching that? But then he was pissed off at the LA Ram fans. Like, you say that if you're a fan, that you wouldn't pay to see your team in an NFC championship game. That's on you, and you're horrible. It's like, well, first of all, everyone who's a diehard Rams fan was probably there. Secondly, do you know how much it costs to go to an NFC championship game in that stadium too? And yet you're calling people out for not showing up because it now allows celebrities to get in there. Guess what? Celebrities, sell out or not, are going to get in there either way. Why is that a problem? Why is that bad on Leonardo DiCaprio? So he shouldn't show up because that's not right. That's thrown in the face of the common LA Ram fan that maybe has gone to multiple games. Come on. Like, it was this very odd stance against celebrities that actually show up to some games, not all of them. And give Taylor Swift credit for every game that she can show up to. She goes. It's not like she just shows up to the big game or the one that's going to have the most eyeballs on it. She's been there. Hell, she was there for the Bears game. That wasn't a big game.
She's going to support her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Now,
the jacket was kind of
for
funny.
some odd reason, she's got a relationship with the quarterback's wife, but okay, that's different.
Oh, they're besties now.
Is there a celebrity out there that would be shown at an NFL game that people universally be okay with?
I think he was close last night, actually. And again, he wasn't in a suite or anything. He
Dolly
was just,
Parton on Thanksgiving was pretty well liked.
well, I think if you saw Damon, Matt Damon.
Oh, I thought you.
I feel like Matt Damon would be a guy that people are like, eh. Morgan Freeman.
Do people get upset when they show who's sitting courtside at a Laker game or a Knick game?
No, because that's what you expect. Courtside is where you, especially depending on who the franchise is, that's where you expect to see the who's who of the sports world, the entertainment world.
Why? Why is it different from the NFL?
It's a great question. Why?
No, I'm asking you. You brought that up, so I'm asking you.
Because we're used to seeing, go back to the Lakers days and of Jack and all the popularity, that the attention that the Forum and having the Lakers have all those stars there. Now, over time, it doesn't matter what venue. Those seats usually signify celebs or who's who, or people that have made it in life. Football, it's not really known for that, because other than the luxury suites, you don't usually see the celebrities sitting out amongst the people like Eminem was last night.
Rob Lowe was sitting in the crowd
with his NFL hat. But usually, again, they're right there. You can see them when you're on the crowd in a basketball game. NFL games, hell, halftime, if you're not familiar with the stadium, you're trying to figure out, where's the actual press box where the broadcasters are and where's the luxury suites. And so you're looking around and you can't really see into them. So after a while, you just start watching the football. So they're not as visible as they are basketball games.
It's okay to admit you hate the Chiefs.
Well, that's what it comes back to.
That's what it
People
does.
either hate her or hate them.
Yeah, just say
it's as simple as that.
Say hate the Chiefs. It's fine. Okay, but to lose your mind because she's at a football game,
I was more excited seeing Tom Ali.
Turn it off.
That was good.
Well, and if you want to even direct your angst towards the attention that she gets on the broadcast, it's a broadcast thing. That's not her fault.
Exactly.
I mean, she's not saying, hey, I need X amount of camera shots on me. In fact, I guarantee she probably doesn't want them on her.
Oh, if they make the Super Bowl.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're pissed off about it, be pissed off at NBC, be pissed off at CBS, be pissed off at Fox. Don't be pissed off don't hate the player, hate the game. That's what I got to say there. Because, yeah, none of them are saying, hey, make sure you get at least 3 shots on me during the game so people know I'm there. No, it's, oh my gosh, there's a celebrity here. We got to find out where they are, and we will have the occasional shot. Okay, now we need a reaction shot. Something big happened in the game. If it involved their boyfriend, oh my God, we really got to have a reaction shot. That's all part of the production. That has nothing to do with her. So lighten up, Francis.
If she shows up to the Puppy Bowl, I'm done.
Aw, that'd be cute.
Actually, it would be. Kind of hope she does.
The Puppy Bowl's adorable. Just adorable.
The NFL loves that she is dating an NFL guy.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Look at how many Swifties subscribed to Peacock.
Yeah.
Just thinking that she might be shown. And then when she started swag surfing.
Yeah.
You know, the big takeaway here is Major League Baseball screwed up. They should have gotten her with one of their players. That would have boosted their ratings.
Are people pretending that it's Taylor Swift, but they really want to say it's Brittany Mahomes as far as what's driving them crazy when they keep showing that booth too?
Oh, no, that was a given. That was from last year. Brittany and Jackson, that was last year.
Yeah, but I feel like I think
year.
now they're just using Taylor, but they're still hung up on Brittany Mahomes and that she rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah, Major League Baseball needs a pop culture person. Like they had Rihanna was with Matt Kemp.
They had Kate Upton.
Taylor and
Have
Shohei.
Kate Upton.
Yeah, is Kate Upton still a thing?
No, not really.
No.
She was for a little bit with Verlander, but I think Kate Upton is just kind of, I wouldn't say she's one of us, but I don't think you wouldn't have the same reaction if you saw Kate Upton as much as you would Taylor Swift.
Is there a pop star we can get involved in baseball just to help the sport? I mean, if Taylor's taken, there's got to be somebody that's. You don't win the gold medal. There's got to be a silver medal out there.
Again,
Kate
though,
Upton shown much on Astro games?
Nope.
No, not at all.
Did she used to sit kind of by the dugout?
Yeah, so she was in like I guess they call them like the players' family and wives section, which is usually behind the team's dugout, even if it's on the road. Yeah, like a Naked Gun. Yeah, so she was usually down there because Marlins man would tell you a story about how he got her out of her seat and people were booing her because she was mean and he told her off. Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Marlins man. It's one of his most proud accomplishments. He told that to me, he told that story to us on the air of how he was like a voice of the people because Kate Upton was acting, as he said, very B-word like. And when she left her seat, he said he like told her off or told her like she doesn't deserve to be amongst these great fans. And then they all applauded him and booed her. I still question the actual truth of that story, but yeah, because he's a man of the people, as you know. Yeah.
What if they showed, Rick brought this up on the stream. What if they, because you don't really, in the suites, I mean, they're probably every Nebraska home football game, there'll be a celebrity or two that will be there, but the suites aren't really set up where you can show people inside of them.
Right.
What if they showed Larry the Cable Guy at every Nebraska game? His suite is in the north end zone. I think it still is.
And they will show him from time to time when he gets down on the field before the game. So he does get a little bit of camera time. I don't think anybody really objects to that. Because it's just Larry the Cable Guy. He's a comedian too, I guess. He's Mater. I mean, come on. No one's going to object to seeing Mater. But yeah, you can't really show him over and over throughout the game. Hell, I think there'd be a lot of Nebraska fans that'd get like annoyed by that. Like, okay, yes, we know Larry the Cable Guy. He's a suite holder. He's one of our guys. We get it. Well, you got Dwayne Wade. Wade being shown every home opener. So there's that. But again, you wouldn't see them during like the actual game. You would usually just see like as the intro of the game broadcast is showing, like, and they're all out here from the Husker fans to this celebrity or that celebrity.
Chris writes in, Josh Allen's girlfriend.
Is she, as far as like, is that like a major like attention getter?
Her career is doing pretty well right now, but I don't think I've watched enough Bills home games to see if Haley Steinfeld is there.
I can't recall them ever showing her any of the games.
I know what that is.
I mean, she was at like training camp in Rochester. But seriously, are you going to hang out in Buffalo?
You think she's going to be at the game today?
Looking at the Weather Channel.
Great day for football.
Do you think?
Miserable.
Do you think she's helping shovel?
I don't think she doesn't strike me as a shoveler.
But like, okay, so if you're a Husker fan, like when you see Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union, were you like, whoa?
Well, like me personally?
Yeah, like yeah,
because I was in a locker room with Dwayne.
Well,
Wade.
I guess you have different experiences. But like for I mean, just for Nebraska fans, like to see Gabrielle Union, Dwayne Wade at a game. It's not like they're at every one, but you see them.
My probably thing was when Andy Roddick was dating Mandy Moore and came to a game.
Oh,
and Andy Roddick was on the sidelines for a couple of games, like the 2002 or 2003 season.
Yeah, Andy Roddick, he went to West Side and he was born here and he went to school at UNL, got his master's at Creighton.
Pretty sure none of that is true.
None of that is true.
Thank you.
But we claim him as if that all did happen.
All right. I was just checking to see if people had like turned off the Lions game last night immediately when they saw one of the greatest rappers of all time. They're like, I've had enough.
It's just so silly. Like
that's your guy, Tony Dungy. Man, he's creating it. I think that's what I'm clamoring for is more Tony Dungy opinions on Taylor Swift. Because I can't get enough of them.
He and Jason Garrett should have a podcast. Just all Taylor Swift.
Hey,
see,
somebody wants to go to a football game and have fun. I don't care.
I've done that.
You can be myself. You can be Taylor Swift. You could be whoever. Okay, trust me, you're wasting oxygen getting upset about it.
But
get upset because I have wide receivers that can't catch passes. Okay.
When is this any different though?
Get upset because I have an offense that can't do diddly squat in the red zone. Okay.
Why is this all of a sudden a topic though?
Is your buddy Tony Dungy?
But it's because it's Taylor Swift, right? Because
no, it's because people hate the Chiefs. That's what it is.
I'm with him. It comes back to that.
Yeah, I mean that can be the only reason.
Travis
because
Kelce could be dating.
This has been going
Martha Stewart,
on for decades in sports. As long as they were broadcasting, if there was anybody famous, if anybody was a wife, if anybody was related, if there was just someone famous, they always show those folks on TV. And they will do it multiple times, especially if they are a diehard fan of one of the teams. Then they like to get the reactionary shots. This has always been a thing. Hell, I was watching a KU basketball game not long ago, and Jason Sudeikis was at the game. They kept showing him. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, the UConn game. Yeah. They were showing him and his girlfriend, or is it his wife? I don't know. One of the two.
No, I don't think he's married.
I didn't either.
It's not Olivia Wilde.
It wasn't her.
He was spotted with a 27-year-old over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah, it apparently was his girlfriend or just a female companion. Hell, maybe one of his girlfriend.
No, that he was at the game with?
Yeah, at the UConn game.
I think that's his agent.
Oh, okay.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Either way. But they kept, once they knew where he was, and if Kansas would get a big bucket, they would go immediately to where Jason Sudeikis was. So you always get the reactions. That's always been a thing. So I don't get why all of a sudden this is ruining football.
Because people hate the Chiefs.
You're probably right. That's the only thing I can come up with. That's the only thing that's different because Taylor Swift is...
Because I think North Carolina barbecue is better.
It might be.
It's pretty good.
Maybe.
But I mean, geez, it's that energy people spend picking her apart. I mean, the negative effects that it has on the game of football.
Yeah, numbers are way down.
Yeah. People have quit watching the NFL. NFL is going to do another monster weekend. You don't think today? So there's a lot of people at home.
I'm excited.
With MLK Day. And because of the weather across the country, people are staying inside. The Steelers, major brand, taking on the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Monday Night Football, which is a fairly good game. I mean, Eagles, Bucks. You don't think the NFL is going to just clean up again today? I would think that the Cowboy Packer, which was the ultimate uniform game yesterday, is going to do a monster number on Fox. And then the Lions and the Rams last night will do another good number as well. It'll be another great weekend ratings for the NFL. The NFL isn't going anywhere. We could say, it's on Peacock, I'm not going to watch. People watch.
Yep.
People watch. NFL is too big to fail.
We watched.
The NFL's been through a lot. They are just dominating. They are squeezing the life out of everything else in the sports world except for college football.
Mm-hmm.
They are crushing every other sport when it comes to viewership and attention.
That's why you can do what you did, putting a playoff game behind a paywall and not bat an eye.
All right, we got to take a break. Jacob Bigelow, we'll talk some hoops top of the hour. We'll see if UConn is number one later this morning. The new polls will come out after the anarchy that happened last week. Plus, we'll try and figure out why Nebraska can't play defense on the road, or why they try and do something that they are not built to do when they face particular teams. All of that to come as we roll on till 10 on a Monday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
Brian says after the 0-2 Jamal Lord INT Texas game, I went outside and lit a Husker car flag on fire.
Oh my God.
I was so angry. The next morning, my mother found a pink glove goo outside and thought someone got sick from alcohol.
How does lighting a flag on fire turn into something that looks like pink vomit?
Those flags are a weird material.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Wind chill warning remains in effect throughout the day Monday with feels like temperatures between 20 and 30 below zero. Northwest winds pick up in the morning, gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour throughout the afternoon. Mostly cloudy and a few flurries possible. Highs around -1. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center, we still got the accident on the left shoulder at westbound I-80 at L. It looks like it's in the process of clearing up. Also, we got a report of a car going off the road in the ditch on westbound 114th and Highway 370. This is a reminder that the roads are still slick in Omaha, so be sure to give yourself plenty of time to get to your destination. Be sure to buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You could hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe and is the best way to protect that legacy. You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year. At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local. I can send you with a link.
Okay.
Smart.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
It's 40 love here in the third set.
And there's the bell. She's coming off the bench hot, looking for a quick knockdown. But wait, she's driving to the hoop. Oh, down goes the champ.
Now that's another double fault. She'll be shooting too. The serve is up.
And here comes the left hook. She's bundled her home and auto insurance with Progressive. Swish, ace, savings, TKO.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower use for adults only.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
You guys know it's National Bagel Day as well?
Yes.
Someone, when I was mentioning the other day that we need more local bagel shops.
Yeah.
I agree. I can't remember who it was that tweeted at me. Yes, an Einstein's Bagel shop here in Omaha would be great.
Is that necessarily local though? Because that was a Lincoln thing, right?
Well, it's a
national.
franchise.
That's what I thought it was a franchise.
But
So
we need, but I would take that and claim it as a local. Throw in some caribou coffee with it. Boom, we're set.
That does sound good.
So it is a National Bagel Day. And I also bring up Einstein's because I like it when I'm on the road. I seem to find those places. They're also giving out free bagels. I don't know if anybody has a bagel deal today.
they used to have Brugger's Bagels. Was that local? Was that just
They still do.
Is
Yeah.
that an
They've,
Omaha thing?
3 locations. One just down the street from the station.
And that's local. I don't. Is that a national change?
No, Brugger's is national.
It is national. Okay. Because I remember growing up going to Brugger's Bagel, and I always thought that was thought it was just a local mom and pop. Apparently not. Well, you don't see a lot of those with bagels.
You should.
It's got to be a national thing, doesn't it?
Oh, you've been to Bagel Bin.
I have been to Bagel Bin. It's a wild scene there, man. It's a wild scene between the parking lot and getting in there, and then it's just, whew. I've been there probably 3 times in the last year, and all different times. Always busy.
I've gone before our show. Had no problem getting.
Are they open that early?
Yeah.
Really?
5, I think.
Wow.
I had a lovely visit with the
I bet it
nice
was-
lady behind the counter.
I bet it's very easy to get in and out at that time. These were usually Saturdays and Sundays when we would go, and
I've seen celebrities at Bagel Bin and people still go.
Mm-hmm. Swag surfing behind the counter.
you didn't just walk right down and be like, nope. You ruined it for me. You've gone Hollywood.
Andrew says Swift and Kelsey are the new Romo Jessica Simpson.
Exactly. And she derailed the 07 Cowboys, and I've never forgotten. I will hold a grudge.
Hey, you want to think about that for a moment?
Oh, yeah. She derailed. Jerry Jones, of course, helped.
Yeah,
but
now Cowboy fans went hard after her.
Yep.
they're
That
doing
was
fine.
like the
So
first,
will that-
that was the first like celebrity relationship for the NFL.
And they showed her constantly.
So your people,
They actually did show her. I remember that because I was a diehard newlywed watcher on MTV. Her and Nick Lachey.
yeah, I watched it too. Well,
They did show her a lot more
They
than
did.
they've shown actually Taylor Swift.
Will your people get?
Who would be my people?
Your people, your Chiefs fan
Okay.
people. Will you
whole
guys
fan base?
turn on Taylor Swift like Cowboys fans did on Jessica Simpson if this thing ends this weekend?
He won't.
Well, I know you won't. I'm just saying, will your fans do that?
The real Chief fans?
Yeah.
No. We got bigger issues than a pop icon dating my tight end who has not had a great year and had a drop the other night. No, they had issues before they started dating. So no, they're like the
It
real
just
fans.
seems convenient though. You're like, okay,
No,
well, what
that's a-
changed?
That's not the that's
I
not a-
know
that's
it's
not
not.
a fan that doesn't get it.
But you're right. But how many
Then
people
that's I don't know what that question is for. That's just
I'm just curious if like the
No.
Chiefs fans will just sort of direct their angst towards something, and that would be
Yeah, receivers who can't
one
catch
to
the
do
ball.
that. I would hope that they would as well.
I have more angst for. I still don't know what Hardman was doing. Just like there's the ball and boom. It did
His arms didn't work.
Saturday night, I appreciated one major thing, and Snead lit up Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Snead is a dude. I mean, look what he's done against the top wide receivers. Man, there is something about tracking a deep ball as a wide receiver that Tyreek Hill has that very few have in the game of football. That deep pass from Tua that they scored on.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this firsthand with the Chiefs. He does such a great job of tracking a deep ball, which I don't think is easy to do. Like you're running full speed down the field and you're able to keep your eye on the football and time how fast you're running with where the ball is thrown. Man, Tyreek Hill does that really, really well. But he didn't do much on Saturday night. I mean, there's the video of Snead just jammed him at the line of scrimmage and destroyed him.
That game to me, and like Tyreek Hill, and we talked about Tua and everything that the weather elements were going to play into. They looked so uncomfortable, and that was even like sort of before the game too. Like it looked, and obviously physically everyone was uncomfortable with the way the weather was, but it was almost like they sort of played into what everybody was saying about the weather. Like this is going to be so horrific for you guys because you're not used to it. And yet these are grown men. And a lot of these guys, it's not like they grew up in Miami. They've played for the Miami organization for years. A lot of these guys have experienced, maybe not that, but have experienced uncomfortable climate. It was just so weird to see like them kind of play into that whole narrative. Because look, Kansas City, as much as they have experienced maybe more of this, it's not like those guys were extremely comfortable in those conditions either. When you get to a certain point on how cold that game is, I don't care if you're the home team or not. That's still like miserable. You take those first shots. Oh man, you're thinking about that.
Tua wanted no part of that night.
But I don't know how many people did. I don't know how many people on the Chiefs fans did, or on the Chiefs side did. Other than the fact that you're kind of feeding off the home energy, you're getting used to the elements a little bit because you anticipate what's coming. So then you maybe have a little bit more outdoor work just to get your bodies acclimated to it. But nobody can tell me like, oh yeah, the Chiefs players were actually like looking forward to playing in that type of condition as well. They came across as the team that was way more comfortable in that environment though. And it wasn't even a crowd that was an overwhelming, like sold out, typical Arrowhead Stadium crowd either. And yet it didn't matter. Like it was disappointing to see the Dolphins play into that narrative more than anything.
They were worried about the cold. The Chiefs were worried about the football.
Yeah. And that's what it looked like. I mean, that's the way it came across. Every hit, guys were a little bit slower to get up on the Miami side. I don't know. It was just, it was almost too predictable. That was the interesting thing about that game is it was almost too predictable. And maybe the most predictable thing is that the Dolphins really haven't beat anybody of substance. That maybe was the more predictable thing than actually the playing into the weather element.
It goes back to the winning games that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the Rams this year. I think this was one of McVay's better seasons. But look at their record against teams that had a winning record. That might have been 2-6.
Yeah.
You know, the Dolphins beat one team that essentially had a winning record. I tied DeBoer back into this. You know, the DeBoer hired is going to be scrutinized because he's not Nick. But there is no denying that Kellen DeBoer in his coaching career has won games that matter. Do you know that he is 7-0 against Sark, Lincoln Riley, and Dan Lanning?
That's if you're an Alabama fan, that right there should give you some optimism. He is a guy that, and this is where I don't know the Alabama fan well enough to really gauge their full confidence level. But there's something about a guy that is able to start off in the lower ranks of college football and just win at every level and finally get to one of the very best jobs in college football. And you have the track record against other coaches that you would hold in high regard, other coaches that you would probably, if they were on the list for Byrne, that you would be pretty happy about, that you've been able to put together a product and a team and a game plan and be able to best them. Like I'm assuming just based on kind of what the initial reaction is that Alabama fans are pretty happy with what they had, but I can understand that awkwardness of the next guy and not being an SEC guy, not being an Alabama guy. I don't know how much that means to Alabama fans. It's going to be such a real interesting follow for this, especially for this first year, to see how the first sign of trouble, the first part of adversity, what fans feel about DeBoer as opposed to just the whole program itself. Like how much of that will they link to DeBoer of like, oh gosh, he's not Saban. I think DeBoer can handle that. I'm just curious how the Alabama fan's going to handle that too. But everything that on paper that's led you to the hiring of him, I don't know how you couldn't be excited about that if you're an Alabama fan. And right there, what you just brought up, 7-0 against quality coaches like that should be another reason for optimism.
I mean, I know why he would not be, because he hasn't recruited in the SEC. It's the culture of the SEC.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around that. What blue chip recruiting battles has he won? So those are all valid concerns, but they got themselves a really good football coach. They got a guy that's an X's and O's savant who I think will, help Jalen Milroe. But it'll be, can you retain players? Can you retain key members of your staff? And they lost a key recruiter that goes to Georgia on the day that he's announced. No, it's the same thing around here. You wonder, okay, what does it look like when you're not Tom or not Nick?
Yeah, but are you an outsider?
Well, yeah, and he's a true outsider.
Because he's an SEC outsider, too.
And it won't be until he proves himself on the field.
Yep.
But he has proven himself in a short amount of time. The man can win. He's a winner.
Mhm.
He is a really, really good football coach. But he's new to people that in the South, he's not Nick.
Yep.
And he is, do you understand what you're getting into? I would hope when you land and there is a mob scene at the airport greeting you, you're like, this is a whole different ball game than Mount Lake. Or it's the culture of the SEC. It's different. But you know how you overcome the culture of the SEC when you're not from the South?
You win games. You win recruiting
games,
battles.
You recruit.
Yeah.
But you can recruit. You have confidence in recruiting. You have a plan. You know that you can recruit, you can sell, and you win blue chip recruiting battles.
Yep.
Here's the thing that's kept Alabama going. You can talk about Jimmys and Joes and X and O's. And they actually have both. They have the Jimmys and the Joes, and they have the X's and O's. But you know what sets them apart and keeps them in that upper echelon with the Georges and the other elite college football programs?
They develop.
Well, yeah, but they also have a depth of Jimmys and Joes.
Yes, yeah,
You
very
can't
true.
just have one front line of Jimmys and Joes. They have two, they have three front lines of Jimmys and Joes. That's the difference. Like how Colorado's trying to build their program, they want to accumulate as many Jimmys and Joes as possible and overcome the X's and O's. Well, unless you have just a huge depth of Jimmys and Joes, the X's and O's are still in play.
Right.
And even with some bad X's and O's, Alabama was able to overcome at times because they just have a dearth of talent.
Mm-hmm. And this is where I kind of wonder if that's where Ohio State has fallen back a little bit. Because I remember having the exact same conversation about Ohio State. No matter who they would lose to the draft, who would graduate and move on, the next guy was ready to go. Or if they suffered a bad injury, the next guy would come in. It would be good to go. And lately, that's where you've kind of seen Ohio State maybe fall back just a bit next to a Michigan, where you're up against a physical type of team like that. You're getting beat up a little bit. And all of a sudden, that depth that you once had, or at least the quality depth, like the 4 or 5-star depth that was developed at a pretty decent rate, didn't show up as much too. So, when I think of schools like Alabama, you're right. They've got that guy, then the guy behind him and the guy behind them. I think Ohio State did. I don't know if they still do right now. I don't know if that depth goes as back as what it did.
24 roster? Ohio State probably in the Big Ten will have the deepest roster. No pressure, Ryan Day.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, that's what I think. Have you looked at the roster?
Yeah, and no, but I also would say in 21 and 22, it looks like it wasn't maybe as deep as what we've seen it at times. And that's where I do wonder if that's where, Michigan stepped up their game too, but I wonder if that's where Ohio State maybe came back a little bit to the fold, helping Michigan also overcome them as well.
All right. Jacob Bigelow coming up here in a little bit. Also, thank God the NFL Network is free for all Nebraska fans coming up on Friday night. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
My passion for the unborn comes from my own unplanned pregnancy. Dan and I have been together for over 45 years. We have 3 of the most beautiful children. My name is Marlis Patma. I'm the former president of Iowa Right to Life, and I'm supporting Nikki Haley for president. I've heard Nikki's story. She speaks with such clarity about the importance of life because for her, it's personal.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children.
Nikki's a sister in Christ. She's pro-life. She has compassion and strength. I want a president with moral clarity who can restore our country, our pride, and our purpose. For my children and yours, please support Nikki Haley for president.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
At Progressive, we love sports and saving you money, so we bundled them together.
It's 40 love here in the third set. And there's the bell. She's coming off the bench hot, looking for a quick knockdown. But wait, she's driving to the hoop. Oh, down goes the champ. Now that's another double fault. She'll be shooting too. The serve is up. And here comes the left hook. She's bundled her home and auto insurance with Progressive. Swish, ace, savings, TKO.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dreamtime Saving Traffic Center, we still got an accident on the left shoulder westbound I-80 at L. Seems to be in the process of clearing up. We got an accident with injuries reported on 144th and Q. There's also a water main break at 81st in Farnham. It could lead to possible flooding around 78th and Dodge. As a reminder, there's still some slick spots in Omaha, so take it slow and steady. Buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time saving traffic was brought to you by Zoom Drain.
Zoom Drain's highly trained team of experts and our fleet of well-equipped service trucks are dedicated to providing solutions for homeowners, plumbing contractors, mechanical contractors, and business owners across many industries. Contact Zoom Drain anytime by logging on to zoomdrain.com.
Creighton Sports Update.
Hey, Blue Jay fans, it's basketball season here at Creighton. So get your tickets and come out and support your Blue Jays. For tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, go Creighton.com/tickets, or visit the ticket office located at Ryan Athletic Center. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today, I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the NFL or a rivalry on the hardwood, you will find all the action on Oscar's top-of-the-line audio-video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Creighton basketball is on 1620 The Zone, KOCN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs, and on 1019 The Keg, KOOO, La Vista, Omaha. Brought to you by Tickets for Less. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, let's welcome in basketball savant, Jacob Bigelow. Hey, do you have NFL Network first and foremost? Good morning.
Do I?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I do.
All right. Just checking. I think NFL Network for most everybody is free. Yes, at least available. Like if you're on YouTube TV, you get NFL Network because the Polynesian Bowl will be on Friday night. I think, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to put on the prediction board that the Lincoln, Omaha, Nebraska market will have the largest viewership of the Polynesian Bowl on Friday night to see Dylan Raiola, Carter Nelson, and Preston Tamananulununa play.
Probably a good guess. Yeah, that's probably a fair guess.
Thanks for the talk. That was good. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Would you like to break down the Polynesian Bowl?
Yeah.
How Noah Gates teased us when he played in that game and then committed to Nebraska. We thought, man, that's got him different. Ooh, they got a guy out of the Polynesian Bowl. I played as much football as Noah Gates.
That's probably the last time I thought about the Polynesian Bowl, to be honest. It's probably been that many years since I've thought about it or had it as a possible entry into my sports repertoire for the week. But yeah, that's how long it's been.
It's been a few days, Jacob. I got to admit, as I was watching the game, I was frustrated Friday night too. I saw your thread, and you were pretty critical of what you saw as well, which I don't blame you. Now that a couple of days have passed since Nebraska's clunker at Iowa, what have you taken away, especially on the defensive side? Like, is it just easy as this defense was gassed from Purdue, or some real bad trend that continues why this defense does not seem to travel?
I'm it's definitely a mixture of the two. I mean, it's, as old of a coaching cliche as it could be, but that game was a bring your own energy game with the crowd and the setting. And, to go from, we saw both ends of the spectrum of that defense in the two games last week, how it looked at home against Purdue, the communication, the rotation, the energy for a full 40, and then see the opposite end of that in Iowa City. We saw both ends of that spectrum, and the adage is you live by the three, you die by the three. Nebraska appears to live by the scramble drill and die by the scramble drill.
Why do you think Nebraska insists on, against a Creighton, a Wisconsin, and an Iowa, three prolific offensive teams, that Nebraska should run with them?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think that it's what in a perfect world, it's what Fred Hoiberg wants to be able to do is run. But I think with some of the pieces up and down this roster, and they're there's no way to really sugarcoat it. They're not elite athleticism or lateral quickness that can fight you on the defensive end, but it also can do the same when you're trying to get out and run. And that defense is really, if we've kind of learned, it only looks good when Nebraska's making shots on the other end. Shots aren't falling. They're scrambling to get back off a miss. They're scrambling because that's what the defense wants them to do. It can snowball in a hurry.
Jacob does, and I think just because I was euphoric after Purdue, that I could point to everybody in uniform and say that they had a hand in that. I truly believe there were a couple of defensive stops in Nebraska that Jamarcus Lawrence was a part of it, but offensively and just kind of collectively throughout the season, is he a starter a month from now, even a week from now?
Certainly isn't trending that way, that's for sure. Definitely been a rough go for Marcus in the last couple of games. The way Nebraska, the position Nebraska's in, you gotta have something to show on both ends of the court to earn some minutes, and that's why we're seeing extended minutes for guys like Sam Hoiberg is making plays up both ends of the floor. You gotta, it's show me something time in conference play. You gotta earn minutes, and every single minute, it's got to be earned. And Marcus, it's unfortunate. People were really, high on him coming into the year, and it's, especially coaching staff from what we've heard, and it just hasn't clicked, hasn't worked right. So it's unfortunately on the downturn for Marcus.
All right. Jamarcus is what he is. But my concern is I'm about to go to the grocery store here. Okay? So I'm going to go in the milk aisle. I'm going to see a carton of milk. Am I going to see Juwan Gary on there? Because I think he's one of the most important players. And for the last couple of games, he's been MIA?
Yeah,
Why do you think all of a sudden the guy who's really important, who has a good role, and you know how he is, hasn't been in the mix?
That's kind of my biggest mystery right now. That's gonna be my biggest talking point when I record a new podcast later tonight. Is kind of where the Juwan Gary mystery. Like, is has he risen up scouting reports where is it the way he's being defended? I probably need to go back and watch a couple games. I'll rewatch these games just to maybe key in on him. But yeah, he has definitely been missing in action these last couple. And if the defense is going to be the constant, it's got to start with Juwan. I think he's got to be that energy, defensive leader on that end of the court. And it's just unfortunately, yeah, I completely agree. He's been a little MIA, and it's hard to explain, really.
Now, I know Josiah Alec has talked about this after the game too, but it was weird when he said the guys weren't really approachable in this one. And I go back. The reason I bring this up is kind of something that maybe took me by surprise. Is Wisconsin was putting on a clinic against Nebraska, and no matter what Nebraska would do, Wisconsin could just do it better and shoot better. Is it just because it was the style of play and the fact that Nebraska defensively was just so inept that, this is a concern where the guys aren't communicating and, as Josiah Alex said, weren't approachable? Because I'm watching the end of that Wisconsin game, and Nebraska is still, full effort. They still look like they were engaged. They just got beat. Like, is that the difference? Is this a concern from what took place Friday compared to what you saw when Nebraska lost to Wisconsin?
I think it's got to be, because if you play like they played on Friday night, they're on the road. You're not beating anybody, and that's on both ends of the court. Even going to Rutgers, on Wednesday, who's near the bottom in the conference in offensive, numbers. They don't have any, guys like Sanford who shoot the lights out from three, or they aren't as one of these teams we've talked about with a surgical offense. But it's just about effort. Effort and communication, and these things that we've heard that, supposedly the backbone of of Nebraska when they're on and they're at their best is we saw it again. That Purdue game was a week ago now, and obviously the result afterwards, and I thought they'd have to play a near perfect game, and they did. Communication wise, effort wise, intensity wise. 2 minutes into that Purdue game, Juwan Gary's diving on the floor for a loose ball and setting the tone, and then and then on Friday, it's just lazy closeouts or even no closeouts at all. It just, it was night and day different. And it's really, I have no explanation aside from just the all too predictable letdown spot. But, and that's a cop out. But right now, there's really no explanation for how they played defense against that Iowa team. And, when shots aren't falling, you got to have defense to, pick up the slack, and it just wasn't there.
Well, they're god awful on the road defensively. They've got some opportunities that await, and they can get back. Like you and I were talking yesterday. And this is a big week for Nebraska. I'm just jumping off. I wouldn't jump off, but they got to show you something this week. Rutgers is a huge opportunity, and then they come home to play Northwestern, which is an NCAA tournament team right now, and a lot of the brackets that are showing up this morning, Nebraska is still in it. But there's a couple of things. There's the road defense, where they really struggle to run teams off the arc on the road. Now, over the last 4 games, from Indiana to Wisconsin to Purdue to Iowa, just shooting lights out against Nebraska from 3-point range. But there's another part of something that happened Friday night that was a mystery to me, is why do you think it took so long for Nebraska to start to break down and get in the seams of that 2-3 zone that Iowa threw on them? Because it looked like, Jacob, for a stretch, that team had never seen a zone before. Was it something, there was something about the 2-3, or it just, that was, I think, a key point when Iowa made the run. Iowa was making shots, and Nebraska couldn't figure out how to get shots.
Yeah, that was definitely a big, one of the turning points. And I agree with you. I mean, they looked perplexed, and they looked like they hadn't seen a zone look all year. It definitely, I trying to think of if they had seen one in league play at least. And I don't remember, any prior to that game, but I mean, they should not be, should not have, 2-3. If you've played extended basketball, it should not be like, like a foreign language that you can't understand and you've never seen before. And it definitely took much longer than it should have for them to have, any kind of answer.
Well, and again, is this going back into what Gary asks and what we've been talking about the whole game, or about that whole game, is not even the fatigue factor that looked evident defensively pretty early in this game, but also the lack of communication. Because again, I can't stress that enough. To me, that seems like a concern. You can be tired, but when you're not communicating, I don't know why that would be the case after what you were able to experience.
Oh no, it's definitely a concern. I don't know if it's I'm on the road, or I don't know. I mean, it's definitely you've got a sample size now of the difference between conference play and conference play on the road. It's definitely if they want to talk about postseason play, they want to talk about taking the program to where it's never been before. They're going to have to steal a couple on the road if they want to get across that finish line and have some opportunities for postseason play. So something's got to change. Regardless.
There is a positive. Is Eli Wright. Good energy, got the bucket, scored. What does that mean moving forward for him? His minutes have been limited, finding spots here and there to contribute.
Yeah, I mean he's still a little behind on the other end of the court. I think that's why his minutes have lagged. But
just don't play him on the road. Just only play him in home games.
Hey, they needed some instant offense, and he went in there and got it going. Instant right, trademark. But they went in and got him a couple buckets. He's shown his ability to go get one or two. When he's in there, he loved the corner three as well. But he's shown some flashes, and we heard a lot about him. Coming into the year after the Spain trip, and he played really well against the NAIA team in an exhibition game. But if you can show it in Big Ten play, you've got a chance to maybe steal some minutes going down the home stretch.
And another, I guess, silver lining, and we've seen it from this team each time out, is when they've stumbled, they've responded well. I mean, is that just kind of the expectation this week against Rutgers, that they will be able to process this the right way?
And that's
or does it go deeper than that?
I don't know. It might go deeper than that, but that's what their track record's shown so far. So until they show me something different, that's kind of what's to be expected. I mean, Rutgers, that's a tough place to play. They're a little down this year compared to what they were last year. They'll be back up next year with the recruiting class they've got coming in. They're going to have plenty of juice. That's always a tough place to go and play. I say that, and Nebraska won comfortably there last year with fewer pieces. So who knows? It's the Big Ten. We'll see how it goes.
Well, see, I like what Alex said. Is okay. This is a good team. I'm not going to lose my mind over one game. Disappointed, yes.
No,
more or less the start. I know they got back into the game, but that's not the start of a team that is an NCAA team on the road. You may end up getting beat, but you don't lollygag through the beginning of the game and then have to scramble to get back into the game. But when you make a comment like he did after the game, which is good, you put it out there that the next game is one where you watch a little bit closer body language, energy, communication, all of the things that we've been talking about to show that, yeah, we are an NCAA team. I mean, Wednesday kind of feels like it shows you if you're the difference between an NCAA team or an NIT team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, it's a homecoming game for two guys on your team. They're going to have plenty of friends and family there, a lot of energy for those two guys. But yeah, the rest of the team's going to have that, similar mindset. And if they come out just chucking threes like they did in in Iowa City, I'll be a little little concerned. But Rutgers obviously has Omari inside, and he'll defend inside well. But it'll be I'll know how to feel about Nebraska before the second media timeout.
Hey, I thought I was vibing with Rutgers. I thought they would be, I know next year they have a monster recruiting class coming in, but I thought they would be middle of the pack in the Big Ten. I'm disappointed in Rutgers. I mean, they got bludgeoned by Michigan State yesterday.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in them too. I like some of their pieces. I like Mawat Mag. I like Cliff. They've had some. They've had a nice little run under Peichel. They were kind of due to maybe for a letdown, but it's kind of the stopgap before they have their top 5 recruiting class in the country. What a sentence coming to Piscataway next year.
Yep. All right, we'll watch it on Wednesday, and we'll see if we have angst or not at about 8:00 on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and then it'll be an interesting scene on Saturday afternoon too. It's still going to be bone chilling cold, but with the 94 Big 8 tournament team coming back, including Coach Nee and a team Fred Hoiberg's never beat coming to town on Saturday afternoon. So it'll be an interesting week.
Yeah, and a team that shows up as an 8 seed in a lot of brackets right now in Northwestern.
Yep. All right. Well, yep. Appreciate the time as always, guys. Talk to you next.
Yep. Have good on that podcast. Yep. You already hang up? Hang up. Or is ignoring me?
Yeah. Take that. Friday, by the way, had a bad feeling, but it wasn't. I saw a lot of this on Twitter after the game. Of this was predictable.
Isn't that what you were kind of on that bandwagon?
No, I was on
the hangover less prep.
Yeah, that's where I was. This wasn't it's Nebraska doing Nebraska things where they tease you and then they just absolutely lay a dud. I mean, that's what happened, but it wasn't because they had like 4 or 5 days. Like the reason I was concerned about Friday was the amount of energy defensively that they spent in that game against Purdue, and to have such a quick turnaround, that to me concerned me. So I wasn't surprised that it happened that way. But when I'm hearing about, it's one thing when maybe your legs just aren't there as much as you'd like them to be, and you've got a team that is, just blistering the nets like Iowa is offensively beyond the arc. Okay, that's something. And kind of like the Wisconsin game where I do not question the effort. I do not question how engaged Nebraska was in that game. That was just a Wisconsin team that was just taking it to Nebraska. They were going to beat just about any team they faced that day with the way that they were shooting. But I love the way Nebraska played the 40 minutes of that game, despite all that. This one was more concerning because all of a sudden you're not communicating early in this game. All of a sudden you're seeing defensive miscues that didn't really exist even in the Wisconsin game. And it did. It just looked like a very sluggish, slow, tired team. So
what it looked like to me is a team that struggles in true road games, and they don't play defense.
Yeah. But their defensive effort in this game, to me, looked different in the Wisconsin game, where I felt like in the Wisconsin game, there were at least somewhat of a presence of rotating out and trying to get to some shooters. Those guys are just hitting some shots. In this game, there was a lot of uncontested three-point shots. It just did not seem like this defense was – it just seemed like they were all gassed. But this is where I don't get hung up on this thing. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, well, we were teased. Like the Purdue game, it's a resume builder, no question. But it's the games against Iowa, it's the game against Rutgers this week, where I like how you put it. Either you're an NCAA team or an NIT team. Those are the types of games that if you are a different team, even when you have a quick turnaround, even when you put everything on the line against Purdue, you got to find something in the tank. These are the teams that you have to at least present a better looking product. So I am really interested to see how they respond on Wednesday.
I mean, Rutgers isn't an Iowa or Wisconsin or a Creighton in terms of offensive efficiency. I just don't get, when you realize who you're up against, why they decide that they should try and keep pace.
And I feel like they get sucked into that. I don't think that's the plan going in. I truly don't think that's the plan going in.
They certainly look like it.
It does. But I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, I can't imagine that is. I feel like the only thing that makes sense to me is that they sort of get sucked into it. And before they know it, they're trying to run with the team and instead of kind of playing up to their identity defensively. Like it doesn't make sense. The only thing that would make sense is that they get caught up into it. It's, sort of reemphasized. All right, hey, we can't run with this type of team. We've got to slow it down. We've got to run our sets. And then it gets away from them again, which I got to assume is a very big source of frustration for Fred in those moments. It looked a lot different. This loss compared to the Wisconsin loss just looked a lot different where, body language, and then hearing what Josiah Alec was talking about as far as, sort of their overall demeanor in the huddles and those little things like that to me, I wouldn't have expected. I can expect some tired legs. I can expect some fatigue going in. You hopefully can still play above all that and still figure out ways to generate offense and make some stops. But when you're all of a sudden not communicating, not talking to each other, like you've been defeated, like that's for a veteran team, for a team that I'm trying to expect and get on board with that is different. That was probably the most alarming thing. And yeah, you're right about this team going forward. If they can't figure out how to defend on the road, especially with some of the games they have coming out, this Wednesday being a perfect example, like you don't defend, you play like you did against Iowa and you were to lose that game. Oh, it's a huge night. It's a major, major setback for this team.
Ken Palm has Nebraska as an underdog against Rutgers.
And a lot that goes into that too with the metrics and how Nebraska's played on the road. Obviously goes into that. Right now, again, I'm not surprised by that. And I think that there is still, as cool as last week was on Tuesday, as great as that was, there's still those games, that validation of handling success, of being able to win a game like that. And they did that from Michigan State to Kansas State. So they've at least given you a glimpse of it. But now you're in Big Ten play where you've got to be able to do that no matter who the opponent is, no matter how tired or quick the turnaround is, because other teams in the Big Ten are doing that as well. They're asked to do the same thing. That's the one area of this team that I just want to see get better, be consistently defending, whether you're at home or on the road. And whether it's a 2-game layoff or a 5-game layoff, that you have the same type of defensive presence that we saw against Purdue.
Ken Palm has Nebraska losing by 2. Ken Palm has Connecticut beating Creighton by 9.
Both of those things sound and seem very, very fair right now. The only difference is it would not be a killer for Creighton if that played out that way, especially being on the road. Losing to Rutgers, I don't care by how much. That is, then you would be going from a huge, huge win to 2 very disappointing losses against 2 teams that I'll give Iowa credit. I mean, they shoot very well. Their offense is good. But a Rutgers team that's not a great scoring team that's struggled in Big Ten play as well, that's a bad look. That'd be a bad look.
Amy Just from the Lincoln Journal-Star is going to join us here momentarily on this Monday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy at 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Had a bad experience, Josh. Mm-hmm. Would you like to talk about it? In high school, I had a girlfriend who was trying to change my appearance to be more like Harry Potter. I don't know what tipped me off. You were like, are you trying to Harry Potterize me? I don't know if those were the exact words, but that was pretty much the beginning of the end for that. Wow, what a time.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Wind chill warning remains in effect throughout the day Monday with feels like temperatures between 20 and 30 below zero. Northwest winds pick up in the morning, gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour throughout the afternoon. Mostly cloudy and a few flurries possible, highs around -1. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
At the Salvation Army of Omaha, we rely on Christmas season donations to support our critically important social services year-round. Now, as we wrap up our holiday efforts, we are still accepting donations as we strive to hit our goal for the Tree of Lights campaign. Donate online today at omaharedkettle.org. That's omaharedkettle.org. Your donation to the Salvation Army of Omaha will help local families and individuals in need. Go to omaharedkettle.org today. Thank you for your support.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Acura of Omaha has a great selection of new RDXs, MDXs, Integras, and TLXs in stock. Plus, get financing from 3.9% APR. Get the best price in just minutes at AcuraofOmaha.com.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
There's a reason people are joining the movement behind Nikki Haley.
She's a very, very successful governor. Haley shows us what American foreign policy looks like with the spy.
Your family deserves a president with grit and grace, a different style, not a name from the past. Nikki Haley will secure our border, restore our economy, and make our nation respected once more. Listen to Nikki Haley.
Our moment is now. Our mission is clear. Let's save our country and secure our future, and let's move forward together toward our destiny in a strong and proud America.
Iowa, it's time to caucus. Go to NikkiHaley.com/Iowa to learn more. And on Monday, January 15th, don't forget to caucus for a new generation of conservative leadership. That's NikkiHaley.com/Iowa.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
Like eating out? Like saving money? Then get to Cobb's at 180th and Center, Shadow Lake Town Center, or 72nd and Jones for their daily specials. Tuesday is $3 off all burgers and sandwiches. Wednesday, buy any specialty pizza and get a one-topping 50% off. Then Thursday, all wings are $1 each when you order 10. And this just in, Cobb's in Shadow Lake now offers delivery. Click CobbsPizza.com to see the menu. Cobb's, pizza, and so much more.
Host is roasting every morning. Host is roasting every day.
Since 1972, family-owned and locally roasted Host Coffee Service has been roasting the finest coffee for businesses and restaurants. If you're ready to change to a better coffee provider, it's time for Host Coffee.
Omaha's best coffee since 1972. Host Coffee is always roasting something good for you.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, it's Mondays with Amy, the extremely talented columnist from the Lincoln Journal-Star, who I think has a second home in the Devaney Center. She joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning. I haven't been there since Friday.
Yeah, but it's, you love what goes on in the Devaney Center. You're a big fan of volleyball, wrestling.
I have a plan to sneak over there for some gymnastics.
Yeah, which is starting. Their season's just getting underway.
The 27th, I have it in my calendar that I'm going to try to go out there since both men's and women's basketball are on the road.
Bummer on Friday that the weather turned south because I was going to be there. There were a lot of people that were going to be there. There still was a really, really good crowd that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And going to a duel, especially a Big Ten duel, brings a whole life of its own. As you have gotten to know Nebraska wrestling under Coach Manning and where they're at and watching one of the premier all-time programs, how far away is like the Nebraska response coverage towards wrestling where Iowa is? How far of a gap is that?
Well, Sorry about that. If you could hear that, there's a car in my parking lot that's just honking for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. My column with Nash was my highest read thing in quite a long time. So, but I know that's like a very unique thing. But in terms of just Nebraska hasn't beat Iowa since 2006.
Yeah.
In a duel, granted, they don't wrestle every year, so it's a little bit misleading, but it's still like
wild.
it's still 13, 14 straight losses. And it was close on Friday until it wasn't. Like they, with 3 weight classes to go, they still could, in theory, pull it off. And then they didn't. So I don't know. I think that Nebraska still deserves to be in the top 5. It's just it looks like there's a bit of distance in between Penn State, Iowa, and then the drop down. I don't think that answers your question, but
Well, and I guess to kind of follow up on that, like just kind of seeing Iowa up close, as an elite program, just in a match that had magnitude. And again, with the crowd pared down because of the weather, just witnessing how they go about everything. And as we know, is just a machine of a wrestling program. What did you kind of take away just from the Iowa side and just how they kind of go about their business?
yeah, they were really dominant and they believed in themselves, and kind of like Nebraska volleyball and Iowa women's basketball, they brought quite a few people, which that's going to happen. But with the conditions on Friday, like they showed out. Nebraska fans did too, but that's a long drive in some really subpar and almost dangerous conditions to be out there to support your wrestling team. So props to them for showing out. But yeah, they were really disciplined, really focused. And when most of the Iowa wrestlers, like even if they found themselves in bad situations, they figured a way to get out of it and earn a point out of it.
And well, I mean, Ridge Lovett, I think, is going to win a national championship for Nebraska this year at 149. The one that really kind of Peyton Robb not winning at 157, and that was a great match against Franek from Iowa. That one stung a little bit, and it put him in a hole. But I don't get why Nebraska and Iowa don't wrestle every year. In Iowa City, back here in Lincoln, it's 2 programs that are close. It's a great matchup. There's a lot of intensity. I don't get that. It's too bad the weather, because there were a lot of people looking forward to it. But now Nebraska moves forward, and they have Minnesota down the road. So we'll watch how that unfolds. But one of the things with Nash wrestling, and I think Nash ran out of gas in his match, which is understandable. I mean, he's learning and fighting through it. But he had a lot of support there from guys that probably are going through a little winter conditioning. I don't think they're to the Matt Rule mat drills yet. But I was looking at the roster and the guys that are here. So essentially, when Nebraska starts spring football, it is their roster for 2024, which is pretty amazing, and it's a luxury to have. 52 days ago, sticking with Iowa, was the Iowa-Nebraska game. Today they wake up, and they're a week from school starting, but winter conditioning has started. Is Nebraska football better today than they were on the Saturday morning after Iowa?
I think so. I think that there are obviously some areas of concern, but in general, with all of the players that they have coming back, and then you look at all of the players that are coming back who many people forgot about because they were injured for more than half the year, they'll be coming back. Yeah, I think so. Obviously now and August 31st or whatever their first game of the year is a long ways from now. And you can only hope that they will continue to grow between now and then.
What do you think happens Like in your mind, what do you think a timeline is for any staff adjustments or additions to this roster?
Um, so you're always gonna have some like sweeping changes. They're not necessarily sweeping, I guess, but there will be a lot of changes after spring ball because they are way over on scholarships. And then you'll pare that down, and then if you have some lasting areas of concern, then you'll go out and get some guys in the summer. That usually happens. It's not as you won't get as many people because you do have to stay under the scholarship count, whereas you don't necessarily have to do that for spring. So, I mean, I don't know how many additions they will have between now and next week, but there will be quite the exodus, I think, in the spring afterwards, just because of roster math. As far as the staff, I'm not sure. You would have thought that would have happened already, but the trickle-down effect in football can linger for a while, just as we saw yesterday, in the grand landscape of things.
Amy, I know it's being talked about a little bit because more than half of the 2024 class is going to be early enrollees. How much of it can we go ahead and associate with this staff, with what took place last year where we saw the amount of opportunities that freshmen had, that's a motivating factor to get a lot of the freshmen in early? And how much of that, in your opinion, is just the way college football is now, that you get there early, you start learning the system? I mean, can we 50-50, or is there something to be said about this program and what they've showed from an opportunity standpoint that the freshmen can be involved in that early?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for those who want to do it. I hate it as like a person. Like, I see the benefits. I know what the benefits are. But I am a softie, and I want these high school seniors to have their high school senior year. Like, go to prom, finish playing basketball, go out for track or baseball or whatever it is you do, and like finish up your senior year. Like, you're never going to get that back. Like, you're at college for 4, 5, 6, and then in the case of Casey Thompson, 7 years. Like,
yeah.
It's one semester of high school. And I know, like, volleyball, they're all early enrollees. You know, you get kids in basketball who reclassify and graduate an entire year early. Like, I know the benefits for them. Like, I know that that's going to be good for them for getting playing time and all of those things. But I just wish there was a better way, because it breaks my heart that these kids are, you know, have to make an impossible decision. Because they missed out on a lot. Like, second semester of my senior year was fun as hell. Like, and I'm just sad for them that they're missing out on that.
I remember we used to have like 1 or 2 would be early enrollees. Now you have 19, 20 guys. But I think it's almost expected. You know, you're talking about volleyball. If somebody is waiting until after they graduate to show up, that seems like out of place.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I can't put my finger on when this all changed, but I do recall when it was like, oh my gosh, we have 1 or 2 guys that are enrolling early. Now it's 20 football players, or 19 to 20, that are enrolling early. And I'm not sure when it changed, because it's not a Nebraska thing. This is across the board, where it is highly encouraged, if you are going to commit to us, that you will be here in January to start the learning to go to college process while you're playing football sooner than later, so that when you show up in June, you're not so far behind.
Yeah. But, you know, there's always a case to be made for if you're good enough, you'll get there. Malachi Coleman did not enroll early. And he played last year.
No, I think there's I look at a guy like Caleb Benning. I mean, his football DNA is good enough that he could miss spring football, show up in June, and he still has a chance to find his way onto the field at some point in the fall. Yes, there are, but those are very rare guys. Those are probably the guys that you look at that say, "Hey, coach, I'm playing basketball, or I'd like to go out for track," and the coach looks at him and goes, "Yeah, you'll be fine when you get here."
Yeah, I don't know. It's the softy in me that just wishes that they could all have their senior years of high school, but oh well.
Amy, I do want to get your take just because, and you kind of hit on this earlier, that we're not going to see like any further additions from a roster standpoint, at least this time. Probably not. Yes. Now, with where Nebraska addressed, especially on the offense, and given the fact that you do have a 5-star quarterback that is likely going to be taking your first snaps in the season opener, do you like what Nebraska was able to do addressing really every phase of the offense, from offensive line to wide receiver to running back? I mean, was this about as good as you could have asked for if you're a Nebraska fan?
Yeah, I thought so. I was wondering if they would go get an older quarterback just to help the room. I still think that they should do that, but I'm not on that staff. But yeah, I think so. I think the talent that they brought in could be really beneficial for them. And it wouldn't surprise me if they all see their way to significant roles come August, September.
Hey, finally, before you came back to Lincoln, you were in the South. Deal or no deal that to be not from the South, but now you're coaching at a place like Alabama, you first have to understand the culture of the SEC to be successful.
Yes.
And that culture of the SEC to an outsider is what?
A cult.
Watching the response to.
Sorry.
Well, no. I think you're right. Like I think there's and there's a Nebraska element of this too. Is places that are so passionate about football, you have to know what you're getting into, because it's a whole different beast on the way you're covered. The fans, they pay attention to you. They love you. They want to help you. It's some places are not like others. I'm looking at DeBoer Landing and the amount of people that were at the airport to greet him and his family. And if you're not ready for that, man, you're like, whoa, what is this? I agree. You need to be educated a little bit on what you're getting into and the culture of the SEC. But I could see that as a cult.
I say that lovingly, right? Yeah, I say that lovingly. But if y'all want to understand just how wild it is down there,
you did drop a y'all.
I always do that. I did that when I lived here. Go back and listen to some of the old radio call-in shows that Nick Saban did or Ed Ogeron did. Like, that is the most wild thing ever. And like, they're always at these restaurants where it's packed with people who are listening in from, they're in the restaurant, and then people in the greater fan base calling in with their questions, and it is a riot.
Yeah, I will agree with that. That is a
grown man named Pee Wee would call in to Nick Saban's show every week. So, and if you think I'm joking, I am not.
Was he an older gentleman? I feel like that's an older gentleman's name.
I don't know what he looked like. It's a call-in show.
Yeah, but I mean, did he sound like it?
I don't. Again, it's the South. I don't know.
No, I used to listen to Bobby Bowden's call-in show, and it was very similar. It's a whole different world. If you're not ready for it, it can stop you in your tracks. So I do agree that's important. Amy, as always, we appreciate it. We'll see you out and about this week.
Sound good. Thanks, guys. Stay warm.
That's Amy Just of the Lincoln Journal-Star. I mean, Bill Callahan and Mike Riley didn't know what they were getting into.
Right.
It took them a while to adjust, and I don't think they ever adjusted to what the job entitled besides just coaching football.
I think every coach, I think even ones who felt like they did, I think Scott Frost, I think as good as handling a room as Matt Rule is. I think, as the season got started. I think there's always probably a new development or something that catches you maybe a little bit off guard no matter what. And so if I'm reading you correctly, I think you're maybe not overly concerned, but you're a little concerned for Kalen DeBoer when it comes to that.
Well, you have to understand. I mean, he's confident. He's a really good coach, but you have to know what the expectations are, how everybody knows your name. They know everything about you.
Mm-hmm.
They want to ask you about an analyst that sits in the back of the room, all of that stuff. See, I think Scott knew what he was getting into, and that put a doubt in part of his mind because he knew exactly what he was getting into.
Put a doubt as far as fully embracing the job
or
before taking
the job. Yes.
That sounds like that was the case. Yes,
but the culture of the SEC is real. It's a whole different world, man. It is life and death. You come from Washington, where hey, all right, they're good football fans there.
Yeah,
nothing on the level of Alabama and the passion that they have. But you got to know who Red Tide Willie is.
Yeah. Or Pee Wee.
Paul.
Well, and that's why, kind of going back to what I said earlier of the first moment of adversity that program and Kalen DeBoer will inevitably have. How is that received from the fan base standpoint? And then, then subsequently, how does Kalen DeBoer respond to what that will look like? That's a whole different animal.
I got a process. I'm confident what I can do, and we're just moving forward.
Yep.
There are winners, there are losers.
Mm-hmm.
And avoid the gentlemen's clubs like former Alabama coaches have done before after being hired.
We're back to put a wrap on this show after this.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
The world's on fire. Attacks in the Middle East. Ukraine and Russia at war. And right here, Joe Biden has created a dangerous threat to every American. Biden's open border policies have opened the floodgates to a record number streaming in, 12,000 in one day alone. This means increased terrorist threats and even more deadly fentanyl being delivered to our neighborhoods. President Trump will change that. He'll secure our borders by building even more wall. He'll end visitors from terrorist countries being allowed to enter. And Trump will treat the drug cartels the same as he treated terrorists who kill Americans. President Trump, the strength to protect our borders and our families.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President 2024, Inc.
Take your home to the next level with Level countertops, cabinets, and flooring. If you have a kitchen, bath, or closet that is completely dysfunctional, now is the time to make them functional. Level countertops, cabinets, and flooring is your expert for taking your home to the next level. The staff will listen to your needs and dreams and create a unique space specifically for you and your family. Visit the showroom at 192nd and West Maple or online at levelomaha.com. That's levelomaha.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The backseat. Check the backseat. All right, come here. Check the backseat.
Gets in your head, right? Good. Because every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. But with changes in routines, distractions, or a sleeping child, it can happen to anyone. Parked cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. So get it in your head.
Check the backseat.
A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Double Dibble football today. There's a lot of sporting events going on. MLK Day, a lot of education going on surrounding basketball, especially if you watch the games on TNT. Atlanta and Memphis play every year, and they really do a great job presenting how important Dr. King is in both of those communities. You got college basketball is on today, Villanova Marquette. You got Michigan, Ohio State. And then, of course, we have the NFL. What is Channel 3 in this town running at 3:30 in the afternoon? Because they have been given a gift. Are they going to have to bump like Kelly Clarkson or something?
Yeah, it would be. Is she on CBS?
Do they still show Inside Edition?
Yeah. It's going to be some show that very few people tune
Pittsburgh,
into.
Buffalo, it still looks miserable in Buffalo. It's still snowing.
Oh, looked awful this morning.
And then tonight, in much balmier conditions, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Philadelphia. Who wins?
I've got Philly winning, and I'm taking Buffalo.
Buffalo, and because why not? I'm going Tampa with the upset. Something's wrong with Philly.
I have
something is
Philly
wrong.
and Buffalo,
Yep.
which means Kansas City will have to go to Buffalo.
Yep. I'm sure
I was
it'll be
really
much
hoping
nicer.
for that 3:30 kickoff at Arrowhead on Saturday for the Chiefs and the Texans.
Oh, you have basketball, though. You wouldn't been able to go to that one either.
I know, but I like my home game.
Okay, can I ask you that? Okay, you got to see everything now, and you were, if I could go, if that game was on a Sunday, I'd go. Would you still have gone?
Yes.
God dang. I
thought that too.
I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. After seeing
There's quite a few people from Omaha that went to the game. They made it back safely. I saw yesterday they were alive.
They like still thawing out though.
Well,
The amount of beer explosions, and then they showed the smart water thing coming out of the cooler. Oh my gosh. Yes. No matter how much insulation you put on, God. And then the people in the upper deck, right, where there's nobody at, so you don't even have like your own fellow human body heat. Like,
Party
good
folk.
Lord. Even for like a $30 ticket, I couldn't do that.
Coldness is mindset. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6.